If you've ever wished you had more TVs so that you could watch all of the sports, you'd be a psychopath like me. But also go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, because we're back for another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. And what a difference a day makes. 24 little hours. Oh my goodness. We are popping here on comments from the president where Tesla's trading up. Futures are up, green across the board, plus 2% or more. Got a lot more to cover here. Benzinga's pre-market playbook. We're not going to waste any time. We've got Tim Melvin today. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Wednesday, April 23rd begins right now. Good morning, folks, and welcome back. I hope that you all had a wonderful Tuesday night, as evidenced by my opener there. Yeah, I spent my time watching sports last night, and there was so much stuff to watch. Couldn't possibly watch it all. Had a great time, though. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Great to see some green on the screen here pretty early. Bulls look like they're in control, at least early in the day. We'll see if that holds up. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Brett, welcome back. Good morning. Checking in early. Pete, welcome back. Another early bird. Let's go get it. Hellcat, good morning. How about those Tesla earnings? We're going to cover the Tesla earnings. We're gonna cover that. Paul, good morning. The Bulls came out to play. Indeed they did. We'll see if they stay out here today, if we get a running of the Bulls, or if they disappear with their tail between their legs. Azrar, good morning. Welcome back. Ivan, good morning. I like it. Benzi gang. I like that. Chuck, good morning. Sun-kissed Yogi, good morning. Creation, good morning. Kayla, good morning. Big Bees locked in, good morning. Dirty has, that's not what it says. DIY has, do it yourself has. Sorry, has. I'm just going to call you has, I think, from now on. Good morning. Peter, good morning. Great to have you back. Day trader, locked in, good morning. Bernhard, Ed, Mama Bear, good morning. I like that Mama Bear a lot. Dermal, good morning. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Ashok, good morning. Jeff, why are you so negative? Why with the thumbs down every day? At least say something. Good morning, man. Hope your day turns around. Good morning, Wiss. Great to see you. Got a new show for you to watch, Race for the Crown. I'll check that out. Will do. Good morning, Tyler. Good morning, Lion. Good morning, Neville. Good morning, ADL. And good morning, Tanya. Tarek, good morning. Let's go ahead and dive right into the SPY. Then we'll cover some of the earnings that took place. Good morning, Captain Cloudy. Got to find my control here. Okay. Well, this one's going to be tough. Let's see if I can get this one. Subcon, good morning. Let me know if I was even close on that one. And Edarina, good morning. Okay, Ashok says, not sure how Tesla's going up irrespective of their earnings. Well, don't worry about that. We're going to talk about that because the lesson here is going to be on sentiment today, folks. That is for sure. Too much in one direction is bad. And you are seeing that here today. Good morning, Glenn. What's going on? Here's a look at your SPY chart. Here's where we're currently sitting today. Now, the big level here for SPY, the big thing that I want to watch today, it's kind of what I was alluding to earlier about whether or not the Bulls can stay in control here or if they end up giving control to the Bears. Big thing for me is going to be a close above this 20-day moving average. This purple, or I would maybe fuchsia, whatever color this is, this light purple line here, that's fairly steep. This is going to be your 20-day moving average. This is very, very clear that we are in a downtrend here. One of the first things that we would need to do in order to break this is get above this and maybe close above this a couple of times. If you believe that this was a near-term bottom, I don't necessarily need you to make a proclamation that the lows are in for the year. But if you think that this is at least a near-term bottom, you have a little bit of price discovery and choppiness around here after a pretty big sell-off, and now we have a couple of higher lows. What we really like to see here is a change in trend, and we like to measure this change in trend by getting above that 20-day moving average. And maybe even, if we kind of eyeball a trend line in here, something like this, bang, maybe we can get above a trend line like that too. And if we can, maybe we'll show another change in trend here, and maybe the SPY can start going up. Now, if that's the case, we do have a lot of levels that we used on the way up here that we're then going to look at here again. Most notably, that 10% pullback level, we actually made a kind of a double bottom there before breaking through it. And then we also have some of these moving averages to recapture as well, the 50, the 200, and the 100. We'll see if we're able to do that. But today, all you really need to know, 536.75. Can we close above that? Can we close above that and hold above that? If so, we might be in some pretty good shape. Now, we'll see if we can also break that trend line. We'll see if the other level to watch here, maybe this 544.20, if we can get above that. Let's see. It would not completely out of reach here. We would really have to take another move higher. The other thing, though, is that if we do give some of this control back to the bears and we roll back over, what are some of those downside spots going to look at? We're sitting here at 538. Really, this 15% pullback level down here at 521 is going to be the important one. I actually think we might be in the clear today on that, unless we get some really, really bad news that we're not really expecting. I'm not sure that we're going to go down and retest that level here today. So what I want to see is SPY. Can you remain strong all day? Can we not just kind of chop around, go back and forth, and then ultimately near the end of the day, can we close above the 20-day moving average? I think if we can, maybe we can start kind of turning some of this stuff around. Turning the trend around, that is. Jeff, good morning. JJ, good morning. Harley, good morning. Siobhan, welcome back. Matthew, welcome back. Brandy, great to see you as always. Lion, great to see you as always as well. Rooster, welcome back. And Bill, great to see you here again as well. Okay, let's go through some of the news. We can take a look at some of the charts. I'm sure you folks want to take a look at Tesla. We're going to do that today. Boeing reported earnings here this morning. They're trading higher. We'll take a look at that as well. And we are going to have Tim Melvin. I think Tim is probably not going to be around until 9. So we should be able to go over some of those charts before that. And of course, we will also cover the movers. So let me start here with the broader market, kind of a market recap here. U.S. stocks likely to open higher after the Trump administration hints at a deal with China. Quote, it's prudent to expect continued volatility in the weeks ahead, end quote, says expert. Boy, you're really breaking some news there, right? It's expect continued volatility. Yeah, you, again, would have to be on Mars in a cave under a rock with your fingers in your ears to not understand that, in my opinion. But nonetheless, here, quick look at the futures too. S&P futures ticking up here, 2.2% in the positive. Dow futures up 1.67%, and NASDAQ leading the way higher here, 2.62% in the green. Okay, President Trump hinted at a deal with China. Here we go. Hinted at a deal with China while speaking with reporters at the White House. He said, quote, I think we will make a deal with China. If we don't make a deal, we will set it. I think they want to be a part of the United States. We're doing great. This is the golden age. LOL on that quote. Not sure why they selected that one, but that's pretty fragmented there. Nonetheless, rather amusing. Meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, during a private meeting hosted by the JPM Chase Corporation, hinted at de-escalation with China. He said that the deal is achievable even as formal negotiations have not begun yet. Bessent acknowledged that current duties were untenable, and they did not provide the specifics or a timeline of the deal. Bessent does kind of seem to have a cool hand here. Every time he's talking or every time he's on one of these presentations, he really does kind of seem to be relaxed. Market could probably use some of that, frankly. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.34%, and the 2-year bond was at 3.83%. The CME's Group Fed Watch Tool projections show market pricing in a 94.2% likelihood of the Federal Reserve keeping the current interest rates unchanged in May. Let's see if I'm going to go down to some other stats here real quick. Mohammed El-Arian, senior economist Mohammed El-Arian underscores in an X post that volatility was the dominant theme for U.S. financial assets. As the stocks recovered sharply on Tuesday after Monday's heavy sell-off. According to him, Tuesday's session followed the exact opposite session on Monday, which had seen a decline in equities, a fall in the dollar, and a rise in gold prices. The one thing that I just kind of looking back to yesterday, the one regret that I have is I've actually been pretty successful trading less and then being a little bit more patient for some of the setups here. Some days when I feel like I have a good idea of what's going to happen the next day or just the next morning, I'll take a position for that and hope to make some gains overnight. Now, unfortunately, last night I did not have any type of feeling that, hey, we're probably going to trade up tomorrow. The way I looked at it is that Tesla earnings could kind of set the stage in either direction, and I kind of expected those to be poor, and they were poor. The reaction is a little bit different. So I didn't really have a position going into today, and that I definitely kind of regret that because obviously we're having a huge move here today. But what I'm going to do going forward here is I'm going to make sure that I don't get caught chasing here. Again, I want to see if the Bulls can maintain some strength today or if we just give that back. So no position going into today. I'm fully out of the short position. I got fully out of the short position yesterday. The day before, I was actually selling those for a gain. So it's time to look for a new position here. I'm still going to look at the TQQQ and the SQQQ. SQQQ actually provided a really great trade yesterday, right at $1.25 too. It was literally perfect. It's not always like that, but it was like that yesterday. Anyway, back to Elarian here. According to him, he was on the opinion that given all of the uncertainties in play, it's prudent to expect continued volatility in the weeks ahead. Duh. That's about all I have to say to that. Duh. Ryan Dietrich here. About 89% of advancers and 89% of volume advancing on the NIS has happened twice over the past 9 trading days. The first big day is a clue. The second is a signal. Rare stuff and has always marked lows. So that's the key here from Ryan Dietrich. It looks like using some of his stats, he is saying that some of the lows are in here, up nearly 25% on average 6 months later. And now I've clicked on the wrong thing. Oh, yikes. Okay. According to Louis Navellier of Navellier and Associates, investors, including Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, have been, quote, needlessly worried, end quote. Thank you, Louis. Been saying the same thing. Nobody's been listening. Someone out there has figured it out. About inflation and stagflation has not materialized. Quote, the reality is that deflation has arrived in the wake of the lowest crude oil prices in the past 4 years. So the investors, the Fed, and our allies have been unnecessarily worried over nothing. Probably not popular comments, but there they are nonetheless. Quote, the stock market is a manic crowd that likes to react first and think second. Amen to that. Indeed, that is the case. Now, one of the other things that we've been preaching here about patience, Tim Melvin has said the same thing. Mark Petrino has said the same thing. Pretty much anyone that's been in the market for a long time has said the same thing. It's really important to remain calm because these reactions, this manic crowd, you can take advantage of by trading around, as long as you don't join the crowd. It's now time to think and prosper during another spectacular earnings announcement season. Spring has arrived and consumers are increasingly getting out and about, which is why the strongest retail sales in 2 years just occurred. There you go. There you go. Some positivity to start off your day. Now, we're going to talk about China tariffs. So this probably going to be the other side of that. President Trump has declared a significant reduction in the high tariffs placed on Chinese goods, although they will not be completely abolished. At a White House press conference on Tuesday, Trump addressed earlier remarks made by Secretary Bessent, who had reportedly characterized the high tariffs as unsustainable and stated that he expects a de-escalation in the U.S.-China tariff debate. Trump also assured that the final tariff rate with China would be, quote, substantially lower than the current 145%. Quote, it won't be that high, not going to be that high, end quote. Trump said, reported the Associated Press. However, it won't be zero. And again, this, I think, just shows some continuing resolution that we are trying to kind of box China in and fix some of the problems there. Previously, Trump had enforced 145% import tax on Chinese goods, with China countered with 125% tariff on U.S. goods. Bessent had anticipated a de-escalation in the ongoing trade war between the two economic powerhouses. Although Trump did not directly comment on whether he found the current situation with China to be unsustainable, he expressed optimism about the future of U.S.-China relations. He stated, quote, we're doing fine with China, and pledged to be very nice to President Xi. So there you go. Trump further stated that the U.S. is not going to play hardball with China and that the country would have to make a deal with the U.S. Quote, if they don't make a deal, we will set the deal, end quote. The announcement comes after a series of events that has escalated the U.S.-China trade conflict. Earlier, the White House stated that Trump had called upon China to initiate negotiations, stating that, quote, the ball is in China's court, end quote, and emphasizing China's reliance on the American consumer. Shortly after, China's Ministry of Commerce warned against the United States using tariffs to coerce other countries into restricting economic and trade cooperation with China. Notably, the U.S. also imposed up to 3,500% tariffs on most solar cells imported from Southeast Asia. Hang on one second. Sorry about that, folks. Indeed, spring is here. So I got myself a tissue. Thank you. Anyway, sorry about that. I think that was pretty much it for this one. Next here, I wanted to talk a little bit about Tesla. Let's actually start with the Tesla chart, shall we? Let's go back here real quick. All right, so this is kind of where we left off with Tesla. I've cleared or hidden the Fibonacci drawing for right now. I suspect we'll probably come up with some new Fibonacci levels for this. We can always go back to that. It was just kind of making this chart a little bit more difficult to see. However, we've got some pretty good stuff happening with the triangle that we've recently identified down here on Tesla. First of all, this kind of chop around here, this is actually good for marking a bottom. Generally speaking, the formation of bottoms is messy, and this kind of looks like that. Now, it looks like we're actually popping out of the high end of the triangle, which is great. So we popped above the 500-day moving average. We're actually, I think we're above, aren't we? Yeah, we're above the 20-day moving average by just $1. And not far away, we have the 50. We have a downtrend line that has been intact since December of last year, and we have the 200. So we actually have a number of levels that recapturing right here might draw in some other traders. So part of me wonders now if all of the bad news or a majority of the bad news has kind of been priced in for Tesla. So going back to Ashok's comment regarding Tesla, how could they be trading higher on the earnings? The earnings weren't good. In fact, if you want to go over some of those numbers, let's actually go to the newsfeed. We'll talk about some of those. Here were the numbers that were reported yesterday. Adjusted EPS of 27 cents misses the 41-cent estimate. Big miss there on EPS. And estimated sales here, 19.34 billion, missed the 21.35 billion estimate. So another big miss there, missing the top and the bottom line. So I know what you're saying here. How could the stock be going up if the earnings were so bad? Well, it's because the sentiment was so negative on this stock, so negative. The company, Elon is crazy. He needs to stop doing what he's doing with the government, all of this stuff. It was so negative that once you actually got this report, once this was kind of out of the way, that kind of set the stage. And then you also got some comments here that were pretty good. Elon saying that he's going to dial back some of the time he spends with Doge next month. That would be May. He's still going to work there. He's still going to work on removing fraud and abuse. But it does sound like, per the call yesterday, he's actually going to spend less time with the government and more time being the CEO of Tesla. I know when we've talked a lot about Tesla here recently, it seems that the consensus opinion was that that's really what Tesla shareholders wanted, and it looks like they're getting that. So you get some of the bad news that was already anticipated out of the way. You get the binary event out of the way, and then you sprinkle on top of that a couple of positive comments, and that I think is why you're seeing plus 7% here in the pre-market. It's also worth noting the stock traded up over 4.5% in yesterday's regular session, leading into that earnings print. So a pretty huge turnaround here for Tesla. Again, if we go back here and we take a look at the chart, some of these levels are going to be very, very key. The one that I really want to hold above today, let's just call it 253.5. It's 253.39, but let's call it 253.5. And then let's see if we can take out some of these other moving average lines. That 50-day is going to be at 273. Honestly, another 20 points from here. I don't want to say I think that's going to happen, but we've seen Tesla do some crazy things before. Maybe we do trade up towards that level. And then maybe the rest of this week, we kind of make an attempt to move at some of those. Let me know what you think. Is anyone looking to trade Tesla after this? Or are you trying to use this pop in Tesla to open up shorts? I'd be curious to know where the group stands there on that. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Let's go to the story here real quick. Tesla Q1 misses estimates as tariff pressures weigh on outlook. Lower cost EVs are still on track. Electric vehicle giant Tesla reported the first quarter earnings yesterday. They reported 19.34 billion, which was down 9% year over year. The revenue total missed the street consensus of approximately 21.35 billion. So, it's only 2 billion. It's easy for me to say that's actually a pretty substantial miss. But again, that was pretty baked in there. The company said lower revenue was attributed to decline in deliveries, the Model Y update at plants, and a lower average selling price for vehicles. Tesla's first quarter earnings were 27 cents per share, down 40% year over year, and missing a street consensus estimate of 31 cents per share. The company had 10.4 gigawatt hours of storage deployed in the first quarter, which was up 154% year over year. It's interesting because I can't recall anybody really talking about Tesla's power storage. I know there's been a lot of talk about the Optimus robot recently, which I'm sure we'll get into at length as that becomes closer and closer. But I don't think in this show, or really when we talk about Tesla, I really don't think we talk a lot about the power storage component here of the business, but that was up 154% year over year. Tesla ended the first quarter with 7,131 supercharger locations. That's up 14% year over year. In the first quarter, Tesla delivered 336,681 vehicles, down from 686,810 in the same quarter last year. Analysts were expecting 377,000. We covered that when it came out. We actually covered some quotes from Gary Black, who said that these numbers were definitely going to be under. I think his estimate was right around 340 or 350. So it was actually shy of that too. We covered yesterday, we covered Gary Black's earnings adjusted numbers. He said that the street was kind of lagging behind and came up with his own ones. It's worth noting, if you were following that, the actual numbers came in under Gary's reduced numbers. So again, didn't really beat any of those consensus estimates here. Tesla ended the quarter with 951 million in digital assets, which includes the company's Bitcoin holdings. The company previously disclosed 184 million in digital assets in recent quarters. Tesla recognizes a mark-to-market gain of 600 million on digital assets previously in the fourth quarter. Interesting. The company's guidance said that it's hard to make predictions on the rate of growth for the year and will depend on, quote, a variety of factors, end quote, including, what's happening here? Why is it moving around? Including autonomy efforts, factory production ramp, and the macroeconomic environment. Now, basically what happened here is that they didn't really give guidance. They pulled guidance and they said they're going to reassess in Q2. Now, the one thing that I would like to add to this, and this is just me spitballing, I'm just kind of speculating here. I would imagine that Elon kind of has an idea of what's going to go ahead here, or how things are going to work over the next couple of months. Maybe not down the road. Maybe they kind of haven't addressed that. But I would imagine over the next several weeks and maybe several months, Elon has a pretty good idea of what's going to go on. So part of me wonders, if you're going to pull guidance for this quarter and you're going to reassess next quarter, there might actually be a surprise baked into that. Now, again, this is pure speculation. I don't know if that's the case, but that was the first thing I thought when I read that yesterday. Quote, it's difficult to measure the impacts of shifting global trade policy on the automotive and energy supply chains, our cost structure and demand for durable goods and related services, end quote. Tesla said its 2025 guidance will be revised in the second quarter update. The company has enough liquidity to fund its current product roadmap and long-term capacity expansion plans. Now, we actually talked about this in Happy Hour yesterday, and while this reads, I read that sentence and I say, well, thankfully, one of the former analysts that participates in our Happy Hour was saying this is actually a negative. The fact that they had to come out here and say this means that there were analysts that were kind of worried about that, and that as a whole can be construed as a negative. So I don't know how you folks want to take that. Obviously, it's good that they've got enough liquidity to go through their current product roadmap, but the fact that they had to say that, maybe that is a negative. We'll see how that shakes out. The company said plans for more affordable models remain on track to start production in the first half of 2025. So remember, we just got a delay in the Model Y SUV. The company here reiterating that they're still on track for the first half of 2025. I think there's 10 weeks left in the first half, right? We're the end of April. We've got May, June. Yeah, we got 10 weeks left. So I am thinking that we are probably going to get some more news on that in the coming weeks. Let me know what you think about that too. Let me know if you think we're going to get any news on that. Quote, while the current tariff landscape will have a relatively larger impact on our energy business compared to our automotive business, we are taking actions to stabilize the business in the medium to long term and focus on maintaining its health. The company said that there is, quote, uncertainty in the automotive and energy markets, along with changing political sentiment. These items could impact demand and cost structures for the company. Quote, we remain committed to expanding our business model to include delivering autonomous robots across multiple form factors and use cases powered by real-world AI expertise to our customers and for use in our factories as we navigate these headwinds. One of the other happy hour discussions that we've had quite a bit here, we've talked a lot about trying to bring manufacturing back. Really, we kind of separate that into two buckets. You've got old school manufacturing and new school manufacturing. One of the ways that pretty much one of the only paths forward that we see this being successful is a large movement into autonomous, whether it be robots or production facilities, et cetera. So that is probably going to be the way to bring manufacturing back to this country in a meaningful way and keep costs down. Basically autonomous robots and things of that nature. So this is also something that I'm kind of watching. I know I've joked a lot about robots chasing you and the whole Skynet thing. We got another story here that we're going to go into. It's actually a little bit more frightening on those lines. But I think in the near term, you actually might be able to see some benefit from this. And one of the other things to watch for is if analysts really kind of start looking at this and talking about this, they're also going to expect this to ramp. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to Dan Ives. I'm going to try to ignore his jackets and his shirts, but I'm going to try to pay attention to what he says about this kind of expanding automation and how robots are going to play a part of that. Okay, the next part here is Elon Musk says this is the other part that I wanted to get in, and this is one of the primary reasons I think the stock popped. In fact, as soon as I saw this comment come across the wire, I noticed that Tesla was trading up in the after hours yesterday. Elon Musk says he'll only spend day or two per week on government matters because to ensure fraud does not come roaring back. CEO's focus to shift to Tesla beginning in May. Elon Musk said on Tuesday he will spend less time with Doge. After the company's first quarter earnings call, Musk shared plans to reduce his involvement in the government role starting in May. He noted that the establishment of the Doge department is nearly complete, allowing him to focus more on Tesla. Quote, I do think there's, the large slug of work necessary to get the votes team in place and working in the government to get the financial house in order mostly done. Sorry about that. That's a rough quote to try and read. Did not read perfectly there. However, Musk said that he will have to keep continuing to do it for the rest of Trump's term to make sure that waste and fraud does not come roaring back. I know that this is an unpopular opinion, but this should come as no surprise to anybody. He's not fully going to walk away. That's probably a good thing. He said he'll continue to spend a day or two per week on government matters as long as Trump would like him to do so or if it's useful. So I guess you could also say there that he's leaving the door open for Trump to just kind of move on from Elon. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's just kind of what it seems like there from that comment. Musk reassured investors that Tesla has weathered numerous crises, including several near-death experiences, but emphasized that the current situation is not one of those critical times. This part I completely understand. I think a lot of this was sentiment-based. The context surrounding Musk's decision to step back from government roles is crucial. On Sunday, Wedbush analyst Dan Ives suggested that Musk should prioritize his role as CEO of Tesla, highlighting the importance of his involvement with the company. Ives, known for his bullish stance on Tesla, has previously lowered his price target on the stock, citing concerns over Musk's government commitments. Let's see if there's anything else that we really need to go through. So let me know. What do you folks think on Tesla? Is anyone looking to trade this here today? Anyone think we're going to have some more carry through here? Tesla is still expensive, says Lion. How do you value it? What's the proper multiple for Tesla? That I guess that's kind of what it looks like. I know doesn't really feel like a growth stock at the moment, but clearly it is. People were paying extra for that. I'm still holding some Tesla puts that expire 6/20. All right. So you're still looking for some more downside on that. I think really what are those puts? I think the big support is down here at 215, 220 ish. This is about 30 points lower than where we're at. The liquidity comment is bearish. I totally agree. I think it's shameful for people to attack Elon Musk because he wanted to help people. I agree, A1. That's just, that's part of it. And I mean, look, the government has done so many bad things I'm not going to fault anybody for being upset with the government, but I totally understand where you're coming from. Yassine, you want to take a look at app? Let me go ahead and add that to the list here real quick. Charles, good morning, Ryan. I held TQQ, Baba, Palantir, IONQ, CoreWeave, Hood overnight. Ring the bell. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a registering. I bet you're ready to ring the bell. If you were holding options there, I bet you can't wait to get those sold. Pretty awesome move there. Okay. You guys and your Trump hate is absolutely hilarious. Okay. Meta, sure, we can take a look at that. Let me add that as well. Doesn't look like anyone here is trading Tesla today. It doesn't look like anyone is in that. Is anyone, I know some of you still have some open positions. Let me ask the other way. Is anyone looking to short Tesla off this pop, maybe back into this triangle, back towards that 220 support? Let me know. Thoughts on Boeing? Yeah, we're definitely going to cover Boeing. They reported earnings here this morning. They're also trading up. At least the last time I looked, they were also trading up. So, okay, that takes care of Tesla. Next story here real quick before we start taking a look at some of the other charts here. This as far as like long term, this is my favorite. The next story here is my cheeky favorite, but this one here is my favorite story. RFK will phase out artificial food dyes by the end of 2026. Okay, so that's pretty much the headline here. What's going on? For the last 50 years, quote, for the last 50 years, we've been running the largest uncontrolled scientific experiments in the world on our nation's children without their consent. That comes from FDA Commissioner Marty Makary, which was said at a news conference. Artificial color additives such as Red 40, Yellow 5, and Blue 1 are used to give products like cereals, chips, and sports drinks their vivid colors. But concerns about their safety have been growing for years. Health advocates have cited research linking these dyes to hyperactivity and other neurological issues in children, though the FDA maintains most children do not experience adverse effects from consuming them. The new regulation will require major food companies like Pepsi and Coca-Cola to reformulate products and transition to natural color alternatives. So one of the reasons that this is my favorite story is because this is absolutely the right move. More natural, whole foods, less of these synthetic dyes is absolutely a positive. There's no way around it. However, for what we're trying to do here, I'm wondering, where can we trade these? Where are the trades here? And part of it might be as easy as thinking, well, some of these companies that were able to save so much money by going with some of these food dyes, their margins are going to compress, so they might make good shorts. I understand where you're coming from with that, but I would hesitate on that trade. I think there's probably going to be more to it. And instead, I would actually look for smaller companies that have not yet reached maturity. Are there any of these smaller companies that really could be affected by this to the upside? That's kind of where I'm thinking and looking. Happy Hour has talked a little bit about peptides, longevity things, this, that, and the other. But this here is a theme I think we can tap into. So one of the things I would say to the group here is be mindful of this. Think about this. Think about where we can actually deploy money to capture alpha using some of this news. Sure, it could be other companies kind of coming in a little bit because their margins are going to compress, maybe. But I think that the bigger gains are probably going to be in smaller companies that have something revolutionary, if you will. Just my 2 cents on that. Nonetheless, industry representatives argue that there is insufficient evidence to justify a ban, but the FDA is moving forward with a national standard and clear timeline for transition. The 8 synthetic dyes, and actually, let me give you this in case you want to hold this or hang on to that. as kind of like a reference. The 8 synthetic dyes targeted for elimination include red 40, red 3, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1, blue 2, green 3, and possibly orange B or citrus red number 2 and red number 3, already linked to cancer in laboratory animals, which was previously scheduled for a federal ban by January 2027. Good to see them moving that up. The FDA is also expected to authorize additional natural color additives and accelerate the review of others to support the industry's transition. Quote, for companies that are currently using petroleum-based red dye, try watermelon juice or beet juice. For companies currently combining petroleum-based yellow chemical and red dyes together, try carrot juice. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, who oversees the FDA, has made eliminating artificial dyes a priority, citing the need to address chronic disease and improve children's health as part of his Make America Healthy campaign. Quote, we are betraying our children by letting these industries poison them, end quote. Kennedy said at a Trump campaign rally back in November. General Mills may have seen the ban coming. And this is one of the reasons why I would caution and just saying, yeah, some of these mega cap companies that are likely to have their margins compressed might not be the easiest trade out there. This is kind of what I was getting at. General Mills may have seen the ban coming as the mega manufacturer of processed foods released a statement last November after President Trump announced Kennedy for his choice for the position. Statement read, quote, because this is always an evolving space, we work in close partnership with policymakers on this issue. We will engage with federal regulators as they consider any additional changes they may propose. So let me know, how are you folks attacking this? Are you looking for bigger companies to maybe make a pullback? Are you looking for smaller companies that might come up with something really huge that might benefit from this? Let me know. This is something that I'm actually not positioned for. I think we've got a pretty good runway here. And I think that there is going to be a substantial amount of plays that also have tentacles into some other things. So whether it be peptides, natural like enhancement and vitamins and things of that nature, I think there's going to be a lot on this theme. And I want to kind of keep everyone's focus on this. Okay. Mama Bear says, the farmer near me is growing beets like mad. Okay. Awesome. Justine is saying, where could I watch Happy Hour? Justine, Happy Hour is a live 1-hour show from 4 to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, but it's only for Benzinga Pro subscribers. So you have to be there. We don't keep recordings of these. You can't watch them at a later date. It's basically supposed to be kind of like a decompression discussion about what happened in the market where we share different ideas. We'd love to have you, but you have to be a Benzinga Pro subscriber to have that. Red 40 is real bad stuff. Indeed it is. Does that mean no more spermicide in my Mountain Dew? And I don't even know how to answer that. What do you think about Google for a long-term hold? I actually love Google for a long-term hold, but let's be careful about that. I'll add that to the list of stocks that we can take a look at there. Let's see. Growing beets is smart for natural food dyes. You know, what's interesting is that I just personally, like, I can't stand beets. Like, they make me gag. Like, I just, like, borscht, no offense, is like the most disgusting thing in the world. I really don't like beets at all. However, I've eaten a number of things that were either colored or flavored with beet juice, and it doesn't really seem to bother me. It's one of these weird things where I just don't like the actual thing itself, but if it's used as a coloring or a flavoring agent, it's really not that bad. So I'm with you on the whole beets thing. Okay, let's go to this next story, and then we can start talking about stocks. I'm really curious to know if you folks have any plays on this health angle, food additive angle, nutrition angle. Let's call it the Make America Healthy Again angle. I'm very, very curious. I'm really, if any of you have any ideas, no matter how silly or great you think it is, I definitely want to hear about that. That's something I'm actually looking to position to that I'm not yet positioned in. Okay, this next story here. I have a feeling that there are going to be people on both sides of this, but this was my favorite cheeky story of the day here. Palantir teases Titan AI combat vehicle with Northrop Grumman, Anduril, and L3 Harris. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? First of all, I'm going to give you the link to this story. I'm not going to play the video here But I would encourage anyone that's interested, I would encourage you to go watch this video. Palantir has revealed a collaboration with major defense contractors for an artificial intelligence powered combat vehicle connected to its tactical intelligence targeting access node program. I can't even read that sentence without having Terminator just in my head. Like this to me feels like Skynet, T-1000, Terminator stuff like crazy. I'm trying to remain optimistic about it. But it's wild here. The data analytics company teased the project through social media, showcasing what appears to be a rugged military vehicle developed alongside Northrop Grumman, Anduril, L3 Technologies, Sierra Nevada Corporation, Worldwide Technology, and Pacific Defense Strategies. The Titan system represents Palantir's expansion as a prime defense contractor, moving beyond software into integrated hardware solutions. Palantir delivered the system's first mobile battle stations to the Army earlier this year, meeting time and budget requirements, according to the company executives. Each Titan system consists of a lightweight industrial truck and trailer powered by Palantir's artificial intelligence that gathers data from multiple sources, including satellites. The collaboration aligns with Palantir's recent work on the hive mind technology, with Shield AI enabling autonomous threat detection without human control. The partnership reflects the broader defense industry trend of combining AI software with specialized hardware to create integrated systems for faster battlefield decision making. Gosh, Palantir has significantly expanded its defense footprint recently, finalizing a deal with NATO in March for its Maven Smart system, which enhances military intelligence fusion and targeting capabilities. This all sounds like futuristic Terminator stuff, like the entire article. The company's stock has surged over 300% in the past year as investors anticipate continued growth from both defense contracts and commercial AI applications. Palantir shows strong momentum and growth potential according to Benzinga's Edge proprietary rankings. What do you folks think about Palantir? Again, I encourage you to watch this video. What do you think about this? Is this the first step? Is this the first step towards Skynet becoming self-aware? Combat robots. I mean, that whole thing just it seems crazy. Let me know what you think about this. We're going to keep talking about Palantir. There's no question about it. Real quick. Thank you for answering. I've been watching your program in the morning. It's just a little under a month and I love it. Justine, that is awesome. Let me know if you have any feedback. What can I do better? What can we do better as a group here? Let me know. Go Palantir, go. Mama Bear says, buy your Skittles and Starburst like mad. You know, I'll tell you what, this is actually one of the, when we were first talking about this, like around the election, some of my friends said the same thing. They're like, you know, Starburst and Skittles, these are my favorite candies growing up. Cheetos also got mentioned there because they're just bright orange or bright red or all of that stuff. I'll be honest with you. I can't even eat that candy anymore. It ruins my teeth. It literally ruins my teeth. So I don't even think I'm going to miss that, to be quite honest with you. And I ate that stuff a lot as a kid. So Ryan here regarding Palantir. This is an interesting take. And honestly, Ryan, I hope that you're referring to Palantir here. I hope I'm not going back too far and pulling a comment out of context. That's not my intention. But this is actually an interesting take. It sounds like a blag. Not sure. To get the stock going. I believe it when I see it. So again, please confirm for me that you're talking about Palantir here. I can empathize with this, right? I can empathize with this. I could see anywhere during the production line, someone being like, hey guys, maybe we shouldn't do this, right? Maybe we should kind of change this a little bit. Maybe we shouldn't have a fully autonomous war machine. Maybe we should help some of our human war fighters. Believe it when I see it, Ryan. I think that this is a totally acceptable way to kind of go at some of these things. Don't necessarily be fooled. I'm with you on that. And again, like I've joked before, some of this stuff kind of freaks me out just a little bit. I'm trying to be as open-minded as I can, but I'm with you on this. And to believe it when I see it, I mean, who knows how long this stuff's really going to take, especially before it makes an impact on the bottom line for the stock. Okay. Let's see. I'll catch up here real quick. My God, that is some scary stuff. That's what I mean. They're paving the way towards Skynet, no doubt. It does seem like that. Seniat says bullish on Palantir. Hard to not be bullish on it. Really hard to not be bullish on it. I really want that to come in though. Okay, Nadeem, this is actually a pretty good question. How do you narrow down stocks on a day like this, where post and pre-market are both trending? So I think the entire group can respond to that. I would say, how do you kind of narrow down stocks when you have a day like this? Well, so a couple of things here. So first of all, you should always have a plan of attack going into it. And I think that if things don't meet your plan, I don't think that changing your plan in the instant is a very smart thing to do. First of all, this is one of the, I was actually recently, I highlighted a quote from Ryan Dietrich that showed that when we have really bad days, it's very often that the really good day is right around the corner, sometimes the very next day. And so this also kind of leads back to being calm, being patient. If you have a long-term view on something, don't let short-term blips alter your long-term view. So on a day like today, after we've really kind of traded down here, on a day like today, my longer term holdings, they're all green. And it's making me feel, at least early on here, like I'm going to have a pretty decent day without having to do anything. Now, I'm still going to look for tactical setups here today, but I'm not going to really adjust my plan. We'll take a look at the movers. We'll see if the movers look like they're going to be bullish, and if there's a setup there, we can kind of trade them. But I'm still looking at TQQQ, SQQQ. I still think we're going to have headline risk. How many times have we seen the Trump administration say one thing and then say something else shortly after, and the market just completely reverses or completely reacts to that? I don't think just because we've got green on the screen here today that we're completely out of the woods and that everything is fine. So I don't think chasing a lot of these bullish moves makes any sense at all. I'm going to stick to the plan that we have. It's good to see a bunch of the longs that I've been holding are up today. That's fantastic. That's going to make this a little bit easier to control the emotions here today. But I don't really think that anything has fundamentally changed here. And I don't know that I'm really going to change my plan of attack. I hope that's helpful. I hope that answers your question. If anyone else has anything you'd like to share here with Nadeem, I think that was a really good question. Izzy here saying, Ryan, flip a coin, market sell-off or market move up after the open. Izzy, this is really the $64,000 question, isn't it? How many times have we seen the market really strong in the pre-market only to give that up shortly after the open? As I was saying at the outset here when I was taking a look at SPY, this is why one of the big levels that I'm looking at here today is going to be that 20-day moving average. We're pretty much right above it. I've got that value at 536.83. We're currently at 540.46. So as long as we can hold on to this, I think we're probably in good shape. But if the market really starts to sell off, just right out of the open, and we should know that pretty quickly, we might actually lose this. And I think that could change the sentiment on a just really, really quickly, I would say. I'm not positioned for this. I wouldn't be surprised, Izzy. I'd say if you forced me to say, what do you think's going to happen? What does your gut tell you that's going to happen? I would imagine we pop out of the open here. We probably find one of those levels where we really can't get through, and we maybe consolidate or maybe even pull off that level there, to be quite honest with you. One more thing here real quick, Izzy, just because you reminded me, the last news story here, we'll go ahead and bring on 13 here, and we are expecting Tim Melvin in a little bit as well. GameStop short seller Andrew Left goes long on China and these two U.S. stocks amid the market correction. Izzy, I put this story on the list just for you. Andrew Left, famous for shorting GameStop here, as disclosed he is long First Solar. This is one that we were talking about recently here, and also Amazon. Was also exposed to the Chinese economy and a market via his investment in the iShares China large cap ETF FXI. Okay, so it looks like Andrew Left here, long Amazon, long First Solar. Amazon here had a really good day yesterday. It's having another good, really good after hours move after the Tesla earnings. It's having a really good pre-market here again today. Izzy, I'd love to know what your plan is here. Are you trying to buy and chase Amazon? Are you waiting for a pullback to maybe a previous level? Maybe something like, looking at the chart here, 177.5? Let me know how you are trying to approach your Amazon trade here. The earlier we can get that, the better. Okay, let me go back to the chart here. Let's go ahead and bring on 13. Let's see how he's doing here today. 13, good morning. Happy hump day. How are you here?
I'm fine. It's a little rainy outside, so it's dark. I got my window open, and it's just all the light I'm going to get unless I turn my light on, which is going to flood everything here. So I'm not going to do that. I'll just trade in the darkness today.
In the zone, trading in the zone. I love it.
But got some really. It was funny how this news just came out right after we had happy hour, and then things started going crazy. So really didn't get to speak a whole lot on that yesterday, but we were talking about that 20-day SMA on SPY being a big area to watch for. And
yep,
I was just listening to what you were saying about there potentially being a sell-off. That could happen. The area that I was looking at mostly before we had that news yesterday was all these previous all-time highs that we were getting in the 530s. We just moved right through all of that. So now we're above the 20-day SMA. Looks like we're gonna open above it. But you also have that trend line there that I've got as well, and that would be the next big area of resistance that we've been seeing here, because that is defining the current trend that we're in. Ever since the all-time highs that we printed earlier this year, we've been in this downtrend, and that line has been kind of the ceiling for it. So once we break that downtrend and start closing over it and moving, up and away from it, that's going to be your indication that this trend is broken. So some things to watch for, but first things first, let's see what happens with the price action today. I do think that we could end up seeing some selling here. Don't know how much it'll be, but if we do see that selling, we do lose that 20-day SMA, we are going to be filling a gap.
Okay, good stuff here. Kathy, I think, is asking exactly the right question here, especially for some of these short-term setups. I'm wondering if there's going to be some selling into the strength today. And Kathy, this is one of the reasons why we're really kind of focusing on this, because clearly since what? If we look at the SPY here, we've really kind of been in this downtrend. I guess you could say that this downtrend started in February, but if you're being honest with yourself, we were kind of consolidating up here near highs. We weren't really doing anything new since December of last year. So we're currently in a downtrend right now. I would imagine that you are absolutely going to see people selling some pops here today. I would imagine, especially on Tesla, names that are battleground names like that, highly traded names like that. Yeah, you're definitely going to see some profit taking. I think Lion, I don't want to put words in your mouth that are incorrect. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you said earlier that this was a dead cat bounce. You feel like the market is just having a bear market rally to the upside here. If that's your belief, then yeah, you definitely want to sell into that strength, right? Use this time to trim. I think Zoltan was saying that yesterday on our happy hour. He was using the move yesterday to trim some of the junkier positions, or those that you have gains in, just because, again, we're still kind of in a downtrend here. And until we're sure that this downtrend has been turned around, I think you're probably not in a bad move selling pops there. Lion says we may have a dead cat bounce on our hands here. So there you go.
And this it's not like just overnight, this whole tariff situation, everything just got resolved. It's some things were said, and I think that's as far as I'm going to look at it, because we're not done here. This is we're not out of this. That's it.
And the other aspect of that, something that our group has covered a long time, sort of some of the economy slowing. I've covered quotes here. I know people don't believe it. I've covered a bunch of quotes here. Some of the economy slowing and stuff like that actually started long before these tariffs. And so it's not just a tariff Trump thing. I know that's the easy way to look at it, but it's not just one of those things. So again, until we can really kind of confirm that we're in a different trend here, I would imagine that selling pops is not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, at least trimming some. I don't necessarily, if you have a long-term time horizon on a stock that you're holding for the long term, I don't really think you need to do anything. But if you were trading some short-term stuff here, yeah, use the move to your advantage. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. It is almost 9 o'clock. It's a little bit early. It is Wednesday. It's probably you guys' favorite day of the week. Let's go ahead and talk to our good old friend, Tim Melvin here. Let's see how he's doing. Tim, good morning. Happy Wednesday. How are you on this fine day? Oh, you're muted. That's not a good start.
good start. All right. How's that, guys?
That's perfect.
Better. Okay. Welcome. I'm coming to you today from Memphis, Tennessee. We decided that enough family was enough down in Texas. We hopped in the car. We drove up here to Memphis, a little closer to North Carolina, where we're going to close on the house. And we'd never spent any time in Memphis, either one of us, always kind of driven through or in and out. So we're right off of downtown. I can see like St. Jude's and Danny Thomas and all that from our little Airbnb that we rented. And 13 great comments just right there that, nothing's really happened with this tariff thing. It's just comments. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all it was. Okay. This was Scott Bessent in a closed door meeting with JP Morgan saying, hey, you know what? These tariffs aren't going to be so bad. Bessent is determined to talk Donald Trump into stopping with the anti-China rhetoric, the 145% tariffs, and especially the PAL talk. And
Tim, really quick, Elon Musk also said yesterday on the earnings report that he is going to continue to advocate for a lower tariff environment rather than a higher tariff environment. No, so it seems like it's not just Scott, too. It seems like there are other people in the camp advocating for the same thing.
Well, Musk said this right out of the gate. I mean, Musk is a businessman. I'm not the world's biggest Elon Musk fan. I think he's our modern day equivalent of P.T. Barnum, but he's just real good at hiring people. I'm not a Musk fan, but having said that, he's been spot on about tariffs so far. It's not good business. And, Trump did back off, said, I'm going to be very kind to China. But you got to turn around and look at what China said this morning. Because China came out and said, hey, guys, that's great. You want to talk? We'll talk. But if you keep trying to put pressure on us and you keep talking nasty to us, we're not going to talk. And China's basically said, if you read what their foreign minister said in a press conference, he said, you want to talk? We'll talk. You want to fight? We'll fight. And so it's just talk. This is a market starved for some good news, right? Everybody's had enough of the tariff stuff. And it's really kind of an interesting, to me, economic situation because, the hard data doesn't support a slowdown at this point in time. Mm-hmm. It's not there. We drove up yesterday from South Texas. As we came up, once you hit Route 40, it looks like Patton's Third Army moving through France. All of the trucks heading towards the Walmart, Amazon, and FedEx distribution centers scattered along Route 40 between Memphis and Little Rock. It's insane how much is still going on out there. Now, having said that, the uncertainty index is the highest it's ever been among small to mid-sized businesses. Everybody's like, you gotta give us some data. You're going to have a tariff war. Okay, fine. Let us know. We can prepare for that. You're going to give us relief. Let us know. Fine, we can prepare for that. But stop this day in, day out madness. So that's kind of where we are. It's fascinating. If anybody's real confident about what they think is going to happen, I suggest you quit drinking this early in the morning because there's just absolutely no way to be that level of confident in the current environment. Now, interesting comments from Torsten Slok out of Apollo. And he said, if we continue with the tariffs, 90%, it's going to be a recession. Now, the reason I highlight Slok is he was super bullish for the last 2 years. Even as everybody else was calling for recessions and slowdown, he's like, yeah, no, this stuff's too good. Government spending, there's still cash left in there. The economy's going to boom. And he was right. And he was like the John the Baptist lone voice in the wilderness out there, and he was dead on. And I see somebody's asking me about NEE's report this morning, because I have not had a chance to read NEE's report yet this morning. I will get to it, and I'll let you know what I think. But looking at the 1970s playbook, let's say that this all goes completely south, right? And we get stagflation. There's a bell curve of outcomes here, Ryan, as we've talked about. Real good on the left hand, right-hand side, real bad on the left-hand side. Let's say we get the left-hand side with stagflation and an economic slowdown and ugly economic conditions. What do we do? Right? Because I don't care about the politics of this, except as discussion points and stuff to argue with, in the evening or something. That's going to be what it's going to be. But here on this show, for our purposes, this is how do we make money? What do we do to grow, and more importantly, in this kind of environment, protect our nest egg? So if we go back and we look at the playbooks from prior incidences of stagflation and economic slowdown, what works? Well, small cap works really well. Research Affiliates just came out with a great study on this. The market index, as we all know, is, or maybe not, the S&P 500 is currently sporting a rather studly 26 price to earnings ratio. That's still very high historically. The CAPE ratio is still at about 33. Again, off the highs, but still really high. In other words, this is not a cheap market. It's not like we're looking at, some of the scenarios you might have seen in 2008 or 2000, where the market was trading at really low multiples of assets and earnings power. That's not the case here. So there could still be some downside to the S&P 500, no matter what happens. Now, the Russell 2000, you look at that, and the PE is 31, and you go, wow, that's really high. Small cap must be too rich. No, 40% of the Russell 2000 companies are absolute garbage. They're not profitable. They'll probably never be profitable. They're having trouble paying their bills. So that just skews the PE ratio. If you look at the microcap index, the PE ratio is only 15. If you look at microcap value, then you get down to a ratio of about 8. So, and in the 70s, in the 2000s, microcap value was just a screaming, really high return. And right now, the discounted valuation in microcap is as large as it was in 2000. And if you go back and you look at what happened in microcap, and especially microcap value from 2000 to 2010, it's pretty dramatic. And I think we might be setting up for exactly that type of situation. So naturally, that brings us to, we should talk about some ideas.
Yeah, indeed. Now, Tim, one of the other things I wanted to add here, you had talked about SPY might have some more downside. Don't forget, IWM has actually moved over 30% to the downside from its all-time high, way more than the SPY. So is it your thought here that the IWM might be one of, or small caps just kind of in general, I'm using the IWM as a proxy here, small caps in general might be some of the first to turn around, and as a result, that might be some of the ideas that we should look for here?
I don't care if they're first. I think they might be, but I don't care if they're first. But historically, when you get a market turn out of a bad market, the S&P 500 can be dramatic, right? It can go up 25, 30. Mm-hmm. Small cap value coming out of 2000 and 2020 went up 6 figures. Not 6 figures. I'm sorry, it's 100% or more, not 6 figures. It's triple digits. So I want the biggest, not necessarily the quickest, but and a lot of this is, there's so much money sloshing in the S&P 500 from passive investing strategies that it does tend to support the valuation and the activity. Still a lot of buy the dippers out there, and that has given some support to this market.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right on that. We were actually talking about that yesterday here. The buy the dip, the market participants have been trained to buy the dip. They're still trained to buy the dip, and it looks like they're trying to do the same thing here. What do you got for some plays for us?
Well, let's just jump right in here. We'll go with one of my favorites, and this one, ladies and gentlemen, is totally dependent on the trade war in the short term. In the long term, this will be fine, but it could be a bumpy ride. Make the bumpy ride work for you. But Genco Shipping and Trading, GNK, they do bulk shipping, and they do part of it on long-term contracts and part of it in the spot market. They kind of barbell the markets. So this is iron ore, coal, grain, steel products, and it operates, of course, globally. It's a New York-based company. They've got Ultramax and Supermax vessels, so they've got the very largest and the very smallest, and again, barbelling. But as a shipping company, they tend to pay out most of the dividends, most of the profits and cash flows and dividends. And this has been a hallmark of the shipping industry, going back almost to the dawn of time. And, good times you get fat dividends, and bad times you get squat, that being a highly technical term. But so you're looking at a dividend, it's going to hover right plus or minus right around 10%. You've got
our last reading was right near 9.
Yeah, extremely well-run company. They go flying through the credit checks and credit tests that we would put on this company. So it's not for sissies. I'm just going to say that because you could see it's been in an elevated downtrend for a while. It's finding some footing, but look, one of the things that's gone on in global shipping is we had all the new rules on clean fuel and the types of fuel that they could burn, and that added some costs. And everybody's been looking for a slowdown, right? China's going to slow down, the globe's going to slow down, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. As a result, nobody's built any new ships, and financing wasn't available. And a couple of the biggest banks got out of the business. So there hasn't been a lot of scrapping activity, or I'm sorry, new build activity in the shipping industry. And in the meantime, the scrapping rate has gone on at the usual pace. So this is just a great little company. Buy it on big dips, big down days. You hold it, you collect the dividend. When all of this madness is behind us, and we have something that looks like a normal global economy, shipping recovers, this stock is probably going to double from here. But you have to be patient because it's not for sissies.
But this is all. I love that. All of these stocks that we've been preaching patience for a long time, so I think we're set up for that. 13. Weren't we just talking about shippers being something we should look into?
Yeah, but we were kind of mostly speaking to tanker shippers, or shipping of energy and natural gas. I think this is more specializing in dry bulk. Is that right, Tim?
That is correct. I mean, and by the way,
but still, you know,
we like the tankers too, especially that like GLNG, Golar. We
That's
really
the one I brought up. That's bingo.
Love the LNG shippers. Because I will tell you, I was down in Texas, and I was right by the Cheniere LNG facility. I mean, not like right next door, but we had to drive by it if we were going down into Corpus to see my brother-in-law. And they didn't get the memo about the economic slowdown or decline in natural gas prices. Nobody told these folks, because they were busy. They were very busy down there. The Enbridge dock was full of vessels bringing crude in and out. Everybody was going to work. There was lots of flare gas. Somebody forgot to tell Texas that nobody's going to want oil and gas because they're pumping the stuff out. LNG is going to be huge. We're going to be selling to Asia. We're going to be selling there. So the LNG shippers, yeah, I'm all about the LNG shippers. Right now, I ran a screen for small cap, deep value with some quality aspects to it, because the secret is, and I figured this out, the secret to making money in small caps is something that your mother told you when you were a kid. In fact, she'd smack you if you didn't do it. Take out the trash, right? Most of the small cap companies that you're going to run across are garbage.
Yep.
Especially post SPAC madness of 2020, 2021, right? This wasn't even three guys with a garage. These were dudes that didn't even have a garage, and they managed to take their company public. Two dudes standing around in an alley talking about something they might do someday, and they got $100 million from the SPAC.
Tim, can I ask you a really quick question on
Sure.
that? I'm looking for your opinion here. Do you think that whole SPAC madness led to less trust in some of these small cap companies? That's the read that I get. I feel like investors are not as willing to maybe take some long-term risk post that whole SPAC madness. We saw a lot of these things come out at $10, get absolutely sandbagged to 50 cents. People got hurt left and right. Do you think that has some knock-on effects here that's affecting small caps adversely?
Maybe. Possibly. A lot of it is just that small caps have not been where the story's been, right? Good small cap companies don't necessarily tend to be exciting.
Could I jump in and kind of offer?
Sure.
Yes.
I think that was also the type of environment we were in, where we had a very, very low interest rate environment. There was a lot of market liquidity because people were at home with a lot of cash from stimulus.
Yes.
You had all kinds of factors that really made bringing companies to market through via SPAC much easier and with more liquidity. And I think that's one of the reasons why it was so heavily done back in 2021.
Well, it was, and the other reason it was heavily done was because they could. And to your point, Ryan, and look, you need to understand something about SPACs, okay? And I'm gonna tell you, because you're gonna see this again, right? We saw a SPAC wave in 2007. We saw it here. SPACs are not a reverse IPO. They're not a secret Wall Street backdoor. They're not any of that garbage. Okay. What they are is a valuable source of fees to Wall Street firms in a time when no deals are getting done. All right. Now, why are they able to do them? Because it's the greatest arbitrage play in the history of arbitrage. This is why Blackstone and every arb shop on the street and Apollo and KKR were in these things, and why Tim Melvin was in these things big. And so I've said before, there's bartenders all over the Mid-Atlantic whose children would have starved in 2007 if it wasn't for SPAC arbitrage, right? Because this is how I made all my money for myself and my clients in that period of time. The way they set these things up with the warrants and the common units and the ability to put it back at the value of the trust creates this ridiculously profitable arbitrage scenario, right? And there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can create a cash arbitrage. You could get a free roll on the warrants long term. It's if you understand it, these things are crazy money machines, but not because whether the company fails or succeeds or doesn't. That's irrelevant to what SPACs actually are. So when they come back, guys, they're not secret reverse IPO doors. They're taking two guys in a public over a bottle of Mad Dog 4040 talking about their great business idea, and somebody gave them $150 million, okay? Or Mad Dog 2020. I doubled the alcohol and chemical content. It's Mad Dog 4040 in my words. Okay.
Oh, wait a sec. You doubled the chemical content, Tim. What is that? I hear something behind you. Look out.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in big trouble now.
Yeah.
Big trouble.
No, yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
No, it's Mad Dog 2020. I don't know if you guys remember this. Probably I'm the only one in here old enough, but some guys tried to compete with Mad Dog. They wanted to corner that very profitable Skid Row market. So they brought out something back in the 70s called Zip, the chemically fortified wine. And for a brief shining moment, this stuff was really popular. But anyway, so that's the story with SPACs, but it did junk up the Russell 2000. Okay. So if we use credit analysis tools to back out the junk, what you're left with are chemical companies. I'm just looking at the list of currently qualifying companies. It's not this super exciting stuff, right? It's not AI. It's not cloud computing and all the stuff that has dominated investing and trading over the last 10 years. So it's not super exciting. It's not being talked about. It's not on CNBC. And I think that's really contributed to the large cap effect. So anyway, we had that one. Westlake Chemicals, WLKP, is also another one. They make petrochemical products that are used in PVC and a bunch of other packaging and construction products. This is an MLP. It's got those nasty, dirty, awful, partially communist K1s that you have to file. But here's the thing. It's trading at a fraction of what the business is worth, throwing off a mountain of cash and paying an 8% dividend. Don't buy it in your IRA. There is unrelated business taxable income, but you do have substantial tax deferral of the dividends. Because remember, with MLPs, the dividends reduce your cost basis. So they are not taxable until you exceed your cost basis. So, but it's just a really good business with a really good dividend. They make stuff that we use and is a vital part of our everyday life. You can see it's got this mega long-term base going all the way back to 2023. You're collecting a fat dividend. You get into a good economy again. You see an uptick in new construction activity, which we have not seen particularly in the housing market in a while. And you'll get a boom, pop in the price back to higher levels. In the meantime, you're collecting a pretty fat dividend that I think may be higher than what you actually get out of the market over the next 10 years.
I have that at just about an 8% dividend here on WLKP.
Yep, that is correct. And again, running strictly off a screen. I know almost nothing about this company, but OPFI comes flying through. And this has actually been an interesting company that a lot of people have been in. I've heard a lot of chatter about. They work with community banks to extend credit access to everyday Americans. Now, by everyday Americans, what you want to hear are the words people who don't usually pay their bills. Because that's exactly what they mean. You're looking for unbanked, low credit score, or invisible customers, people who just simply don't have a credit score. And OppFi is working with banks to be able to extend credit access down through to these people using the bank's money, but with the losses coming back to OppFi. It's an interesting company, and it is fast growing. Underbanked is a huge problem in the United States. Bringing these folks, unbanked people, into the banking system is healthy for the economy. It's a very interesting company. It's growing at a ridiculous rate. The earnings increase this year is supposed to be staggering, and it's trading at very reasonable multiples, and it passes the credit checks at this point in time. So that's just one other one. Now, the other thought, because again, I don't want to take all your time this morning, and I realize that I have 0 camera set up here in Memphis. So small cap is one part of this, and small cap value, you want to use credit check tools. Like, just a simple, easy one is the Piotrowski F-score. The other thing, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole too far, but it's one that you have to expect from me. In 2000 to 2010, nobody made any money in the stock market indexes, and they went through 250% declines. If you bought small banks trading below book value, you tripled your money over the course of the decade, and you didn't really have any drawdowns. Okay, so microcap, small banks, right out of the stagflation, slowing economy playbook. Because if you get a slowing economy, you get more bank M&A, because smaller banks are now like, okay, now we really got to throw in the towel. But then the other thought that I want to leave you with, and I've got some really good ideas here for you today that I think you're going to love, is probably, if you've got serious money and you're over 50, you may want to think about making a much larger allocation to fixed income here. There's a very significant chance we can get in here right now, and I'm going to show you anywhere between 8.5% and 10% from quality fixed income opportunities and investments. I don't think the market does 8.5% to 10% over the next 10 years. Okay. I could be wrong, but all of the barometers, all of the reasonable measurements of forward returns are suggesting much lower than what we've seen over the last 10, and a strong possibility of a lost decade. So let's just jump in. I'm going to a couple ideas here with you. PFFA is a preferred stock ETF. It's run by Jay Hadfield, who is a very smart guy. He picks preferred stocks a lot like I do. I have a long love affair with preferred stocks. Some of the first credit-oriented investments I bought were utility preferreds back in the 80s from utility companies that had cost overruns from new nuclear power plants. It's the last time everybody fell in love with the idea of building nuclear power plants too quickly. Preferred stocks sit between equity and debt. They have some similar capabilities. I know Brett wants me to consider sharing high dividend ideas. Brett, we've got a whole bunch of those in the Benzinga yield report. I'm just going to mention that. But I am going to give you 3 today that these are turnkey solutions. They're ETFs and funds. But PFFA, when I go and I look at this portfolio, as I said, the manager thinks and works a lot like I do. You've got Flagstar Financial. That's New York Community Bank for the uninitiated, which is one of the first preferred stocks that I gave you guys. This thing's yielding 9.96%, by the way, and I believe it does pay a monthly dividend. You've got Energy Transfer preferreds, Bank of California, which I've had forever. I had it as PacWest preferred. We hit a home run on this thing, and it's still just sitting here cranking out a very high yield. We've got New York Mortgage Trust, Global Net Lease Properties, Digital Bridge. The bulk of this portfolio is going to be in financial preferred stocks. And you're going to sit here and collect about 10%. If rates go down, we get Fed rate cuts because the economy slows too far, or Trump, because look, whether Trump fires Jerome Powell or not, his term's up next year. Everybody who thinks that Donald Trump's going to reappoint Jerome Powell as Fed chair, please, I'm begging you for just for your health, quit smoking this stuff in the morning. All right. That's not going to happen. So at some point we get interest rate cuts. When that happens, preferred stocks will go higher, and this fund will see some, a nice pop and appreciation. At the same time, most of the stocks in this portfolio are not floating rate. They're fixed yields. So you're going to continue collecting the dividend on most of this stuff. And you've also got, I said, the potential for serious pops in price. So that's 9.96. Now, BNDS is Jay Hatfield and his team's newest offering. It is a high yield bond fund, but much like me, he occupies his attention to the upper tier of the high yield market, the double B bonds. And when you look at the portfolios, it's real energy heavy and real estate heavy. And if you know me at all and you've been around me for long, you know that when it comes to the debt and preferred stock and income side, I'm really real estate heavy and I'm really energy heavy. And I've been talking about these things for a while. So you've got bonds from Crescent Energy, one of my all-time favorite energy situations, CRGY. But, the bonds are also very high yielding. You've got BW Real Estate, you've got Lincoln National, you've got Charter Communications. You may complain about Charter and Comcast and all the other cable and broadband companies, and you complain and you don't like them and you hate them, but you pay the bill every month because they're kind of necessary in many ways. You got Land O'Lakes. As long as my wife is alive, Land O'Lakes butter will thrive. Listen, she's from South Texas, right? So it's Paula Dean went to the South Texas, School of Cooking. Too much butter is a good start. My wife actually gets she gets nervous and upset if there's less than 2 pounds of butter in the house. I got to run out and get some because everything's not going to taste right.
She must be protected at all costs.
Yeah, no, 100%. If I didn't walk 5 miles every day eating my wife's cooking, oh my goodness, it's just she's just such a great cook.
I can't wait to visit you in North Carolina. I'm just going to leave it right there.
I mean, there's people that hate me that are like, when can I come over?
When can I come over for some home cooking?
When can I come over? I mean, this is great. So anyway, this 8.5%, the upper tier of the high yield bond market we call it the sweet spot of the bond market, okay? Because modern portfolio theory, that collection of jokes written by the professors at University of Chicago, states that the higher the risk, the higher the reward. And generally speaking, that does hold true, is particularly in the bond market, which is smarter than the stock market and less emotional, right? The lower the rating, the higher the total return. And that goes, AAA, AA, A, triple B, and then boop, you hit double Bs. And here's what happens in double Bs. Double Bs have a higher return, higher yield than triple Bs, as they're supposed to. But there's a low risk factor. And then when you get down, you're supposed to start seeing higher returns as you go down the risk curve from the asset class, and you don't. If you put this on a graph, the highest returns and lower risk is in double B rated bonds. The drop off between double B and single B in default rates is dramatic. It's a single digit 5-year default rate up to, over 20%. So big difference there. Double B bonds are more susceptible to upgrades. You have more large cap fallen angels. So there's a whole bunch of reasons for this. But this fund is primarily going to be in the double B's upper tier of the high yield bond market, where in markets that are selling off, you can just do extremely well. Well, this market's been selling off. you're going to see some cracks in high yield if this continues.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, you need to be buying this. Okay, well, you need to be buying BNDS. And if you get high yield credit spreads move higher and they get over 6.5%, you're going to want to buy a lot of this. And then next up, I've got one more for you guys. This is one of my favorites. I love this particular idea that I'm about to give you. I own it. Everybody that I've been able to tackle and punch in the face owns it, which is, given my size, that's like two people. But FINS, FINS. This is the Angel Oak Financial Strategies Income Trust. Real simple. There's a classification of the debt markets called community bank subordinated debt. And it's institutional only. It doesn't matter how you could, your broker could be your best friend. You can't buy this stuff. All right. It's just debt issues by smaller banks. They own a whole bunch of them. It's yielding 10%. It's some of the safest paper on the planet. I said it's institutional. It's low turnover. It's buy and hold paper. Angel Oak's been a player in this market forever. So you're gaining access to an institutional market with an experienced team in a very low credit risk environment. It's investment grade or equivalent paper throwing off a 10% yield in a market that you could not normally access, that's going to scream higher on the other side of this as rates go down. And I won't say the financial condition of the banking system improves, because the banking system's fine, as the perception and understanding of the strength and quality of the banking system improves. This will scream dramatically higher. So lots of upside, lots of dividend collection. So this is just three high yield areas that, they all get a bounce from anything that lowers interest rates, which at some point this year I think is probably going to be on the table in one form or another. It gets stability from strong credit profiles. So you should be able to continually just collect this income. And all three of them, I believe, are monthly income payers. So this cash is just going to be coming into your account all the time. Energy transfer is a K1 wisdom. And if K1s are your dominant investment making decision, you'll leave a lot of money on the table. Okay. So if you pull up energy transfer for a second, Ryan. Okay. I bought that at $8 and change a couple of years ago. I had to deal with it K1 every quarter. All right. But I've collected almost 12% yield on cost, plus my money's doubled. I mean, my account's a nice guy. I don't mind paying him a little bit. But, even if I hated the guy, I'd pay him, because that's a lot of money. So, K1s, yes, they are a pain in the ass. That's a technical term too. But don't let that make you miss everything that's going on in the midstream space. If you absolutely can't stand it, buy the closed-end funds that invest in the midstream space. You need to be in that space, particularly on energy weakness. So anyway, back to what I was saying. You've got pops in all three of these from lower interest rates. You've got really high credit quality, and you've got high levels of monthly income, and your total return, I believe, will exceed that of the large cap stocks and the tech indexes over the next 10 years. Even if I'm dead wrong, you're right around the historical plus or minus long-term return of the stock market. So it's doubtful that you lose anything by using this strategy.
Seems real safe. Okay, real good stuff. Tim, we got to get rolling here. We're 3 minutes till we open. Really, really appreciate it. I also want to finish up here. Brett, your comment here about consider sharing some high dividend ideas. This is one of Tim's wheelhouses. And this is why we have that Benzinga Edge advertisement right up at the top of the screen. You click on that QR code right there.
I forgot that one, yeah.
Yep. Tim's got a portfolio of just high dividend payers that you can use. Remember, if you're a pro subscriber, you also have access to Edge. Tim, have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll check in with you next week. Are you going to be in North Carolina next week or what?
You know what, guys? Tune in and see. It'll be somewhere, but it won't be here. So
okay, it'll be a surprise. We'll be waiting for that.
That's the headline that you have for next Wednesday. Where's Tim?
Where's Tim? That's the title of the show. All right, Tim, have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll check in with you next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, that is Tim Melvin. Yes, we will absolutely keep going for some of those dividend payers, some of the longer term ads for your portfolio here. I know we're really short on time. 13, I'm just going to go to you. Do you have any movers that you want to cover immediately?
Yeah, I'm going to go through 3. I could just do that from here until we open. I'll go as fast as I can.
Perfect.
Those are going to be ENSC, SNOA, AGRI. For ENSC, this is moving on a U.S. patent for their PF 9001. Trials have not started on this. They have 1.3 million shares in the float. They look like they have about a quarter of cash left, so they are going to have to do a capital raise. SNOA, they are launching new acne products in the UK. They have a float of 1.59 million shares. They have about 4 quarters of cash. This looks like it's the healthiest looking company out of this bunch that I'm mentioning here. AGRI, this gave a Bitcoin mining update yesterday. They have 1.7 million shares in the float. This company needs cash. I expect them to do a capital raise at some point. The CFO, they had a change last month. One last piece of information about ENSC. They had some filing for offering more shares. So I think they could also be doing a offering as well. Here we are.
We're open. Really good stuff. You did get through those 3 pretty quickly here. So
I tried.
All right. No, that was good. That was perfect. No wasted time. Here is ENSC. I'm actually going to leave this on the screen here for a sec. I'm going to step away for just 1 sec. I'll be right back, 13.
All right. STFU, watch out for AGRI. It's a pump and dump. Yeah, it certainly looks like it could be. I just didn't like the cash position at all. I would think that if they are going to do an offering, they could do an at-the-market one today. That would be opportune for them, but don't know what they're going to do with their business, and I'm not going to tell them what to do except just to give me money if I make a trade. All right. So other than that, what do you got here? SNOA, that's going down now. ENSC, that looks like that's trying to get going here. Maybe a big move over 450 could help give this some legs. See if that's what happens. What else is moving here today? I also saw that. Hey, no problem. I also saw that we had ICCT getting mentioned. That was starting to get to move up. Looks like we did get some price action here in the pre-market. That took us up to about where we were printing highs yesterday during the regular session. We're not quite back up there yet, but it looks like we are above VWAP. So a little bit more volume could help push this up. It just needs a little bit more time. 343 is the pre-market high today. All right, so let's go and look at some of these. So
okay, sorry, 13.
No worries. So SNOA coming down out of the gate here, coming down to some consolidation where in the after hours yesterday. We also have the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. That's it's coming down to. That's going to be at about 366.
Yep.
So we'll see if we get some support here at SNOA. This is beneath its VWAP, which VWAP is I currently have it at 466. Looks like AGRI is still going sideways. Good to see what happens with this. Need better volume. Looks like HUD was getting some movement.
RZLT.
MLGO. Tell me if you heard this before. This is starting to move here.
Say it was RZLT. Market Sniper, check that ticker there. Great. RZLT. This right through the VWAP. This going here. I'm actually a little too late on this. Damn.
Great job on RZLT.
445 is going to be your pre-market high there. 450 gets taken. By the way, S&P futures, we were talking about that earlier here. S&P futures first move here is higher on the market. NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow all trying for that. We'll see if that turns around here, but so far, so good.
Yeah, that's a great mention of RZLT. I like this this formation that we have here. It certainly looks to me like this could end up taking out 445. Might happen immediately. It might need another 10, 15 minutes or so. But this looks like it's getting going here. Just to make sure if you're trading this that you keep your stops, to where you're not going to lose any money. Right now, if you already bought into this and this is up, I think you're probably not going to lose any money if you raise your stops to at least break even. So
lots of call flow across the board. Bitcoin names, BitDeer, Strategy, NVIDIA, Tesla, Google. Wow, that was nice.
Yeah, I think
huge flow there.
I think that you folks are right. This really does feel like a good time to trim some positions. Maybe take some profits on some more speculative names. I mean, you guys are going to be killing it if you're executing these plans. Go ahead.
Sorry, really quick. Jay was mentioning here TEM up almost 12% here. Tempest AI shares trading higher if the company announced a multi-year collaboration with several firms, including AstraZeneca, to develop the largest multimodal foundation model in oncology. Now, so that's going higher. You also mentioned Grail. That's related to this, is it not? Grail, that's also popping here. Does not have the news headline here. Had news yesterday. Grail to present new data on an MCED test and additional data from Grail's ctDNA-based targeted methylation platform. Okay, so that's going to be in Chicago. Sorry, 13. Get in there.
So for TEM, if I look at the daily chart, I can see that it's currently finding resistance at the 200 EMA, and you have the 65 EMA right above it. Also, it looks like $50 was a previous resistance area that when it breaks over, it goes on a run, but it always seems to, it's been coming back underneath it recently, at least this year. I still think 50 could be a big resistance area, but these EMAs are currently providing some resistance right now. So even if we do get through those, 50 could be an area where you might see the price turn around. So just some levels to watch out for.
Good stuff there. WLDS. This is trading up. This is right at the VWAP. Folks, a lot of really green arrows here. I would just be careful about chasing into this.
There goes the ENSC. That's starting to get going here. 519 is the pre-market high.
Tesla pulling back right out of the open here. So went right to the trend line that we had here. Okay, this is the top end of that triangle and rejected and has come back in a little bit. Tesla retracing about half of the earnings move so far.
Walmart gave a really interesting trade out of the gate here. Had a big drop to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, and then it just ripped right back to where it started. So don't know if anybody caught that, but that was really nice. You may have gotten a whole dollar out of that move there.
Did not have Walmart on my radar, but you're right. That was a nice move there. RZLT continuing to trade higher here. Watch that 445 spot, currently at 415.
Oh, that is a massive knife in ICCT. This is, hey, you know, if you were raising your stop, I think you could have gotten out break even and not get knifed with this knife. Down to the 65 EMA. So this is about where the bottom of the price action this morning. You know, a little bit lower, but it's been printing some higher lows this morning. So you could just even draw a trend line. That's what I'm going to do. See if this gives me anything here. So even
higher lows on ICCT. So this,
yeah, the pre-market. Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at that. So if we do lose the 65 EMA, I'm just kind of seeing if we end up bouncing off this trend line here off the higher lows.
All of big cap tech pulling back out of the open here. Apple, Tesla, it's not specific to Tesla. Netflix, same deal. Amazon popped a little bit, turned around a little bit. Bitcoin came in a little bit. Interesting.
It looks like everything's starting to turn around right now. Like Walmart just had is starting to turn red here, going back down to its VWAP. Some of these movers were also flashing a little bit of red. RZLT not doing that. That just tested its VWAP, trying to go higher. It looks like Tempest AI. That's coming in a little bit here. Some of these are pulling. Bitcoin is pulling. That was over 94,000. Yeah. I mean, this is pulling. That's a big knife in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin down to 93.3 or 93.5 on the futures. That's bouncing here. Bitcoin volatile. Actually, a ton of volume just flowed into that. Wow. What on
that
earth?
Was crazy. I'm watching.
I'm sorry I didn't have that chart up right when that happened, but that literally happened as you mentioned that 13. We're going green on Bitcoin.
That was
here it is.
Crazy. Okay, so
the amount of volume that came. Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, I was watching that drop, and it went down to where it was bottoming in the pre-market here. And that was like the third bottoming action. Maybe even you could even call it, you know, maybe an inverse head and shoulders.
Whole market moved higher here. SPY moving higher. S&P futures ripping here.
What just happened? I guess I haven't seen the news yet, but that was wild.
Yeah, I don't see anything here on the big news yet.
BlackRock bought Bitcoins. I mean, is that true? Is he? I didn't see that news, but if it's true, would account for why we had that big move. Gosh, that was
huge.
$1,000 move there.
Even Apple's turning around. Tesla bounced several points right there. Netflix pretty much retraced its entire move down.
That was wild.
Izzy, good stuff there on ONDS. Glad you're trading that. I also was adding yesterday. Looking all right there.
Looks like TEM trying to push back up to that 48.95 high that it just made.
Yeah, White House. So here we go. Producer on it. White House considers slashing China tariffs to de-escalate the trade war.
Didn't we?
Now this is source. That's Wall Street Journal sources. They've been wrong before, so be careful on that. Say that again.
I was going to say, isn't that kind of like news we already knew though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just being reiterated.
Oh, these markets.
Like Tim said it earlier, they're really looking for a reason to rip. They're looking for anything that they can.
Because they've been getting hammered.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, and Trump bum. Trump bum. I think this is just part of the playbook. They're going through the same thing we did with in 2018. There's almost nothing different with between the two between now and then. We're tariffs. Yeah, frothy.
The other part of that headline, by the way, and I just China tariffs likely coming down to between 50 and 65%.
Okay.
Which Trump was saying yesterday.
Okay. So they're still going to have the highest tariffs among everybody else.
Yeah, and they're not going away.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, are you done already today? Have a good one, man.
Excellent. Have a good rest of the day. And it just started for a lot of people. 10 minutes into this market, Brett's done.
There you go.
That's a win. I love it.
You want to see Brett gone? Is that what I'm just kidding. I know. I'm joking.
I want to see goals met.
I like it.
All right. What else is looking good here? Robert saying Pony looking for 550. I have not looked at Pony today. What is Pony? Pony AI? Oh, it's an AI name with AI in the name. Okay, so this has got some news from today. They did.
So that tariff news really quickly, 13. That tariff news, that was one senior White House official said that the China tariffs were likely going to come down to 50 to 65% anyway.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, with Pony, they had news about new generation robotaxi lineup at the Shanghai Auto Show. Robotaxi trade getting heating up again? I don't know.
I haven't participated in that robotaxi trade. I don't believe the entire thesis from start to finish. Ray, looking to start a Tesla long right down here. Tesla does look like maybe it's bouncing from down here. It was a huge pull out of the open. We did actually on the 5-minute here, we did test that 200 EMA.
Those minerals plays looking pretty good. They're doing really good today too. Except, let me double check here. Except gold, because that was real fun to have that happen yesterday, right after we got up at the happy hour, after talking about how gold is starting.
Literally right after saying, gold might be extended and might have a nice move down here. Literally happened as we were still on the show.
I didn't say it might. Andy was saying, he was saying it's really hard to time these things, and I was like, well, I'm looking at these.
It looks like now.
ETFs. It's looking like now is it starting to happen. It just hit 3,500.
Sure enough.
That was the level we were waiting for, and it turned around. And then you get this news, which sends gold even lower. So that was very, very timely. Very timely.
Lulu higher here. I would just be careful on chasing these moves. Yeah. We've seen a lot of back and forth, as it is.
That's a good point there, Jay Rice. He's saying apparel land retail ripping. Nike up over 3%. Tempest AI going higher now. New highs, 49.17. Was a great mention. Looks like Avercore.
Shopify higher.
Looks like
Reddit higher. Everything trading up here. You guys are looking at UPXI. Sorry, I'm just trying to go over stuff in the chat here, 13.
Yeah, I'm just mentioning one of the moves that we had today in the movers, Agri. That one popped up to 240, and then it came right back in. This that might be it for this one. I don't know.
Morning, Chopped. Morning, all. Is Besant going to be speaking this morning? Yes, I believe he was supposed to be speaking, 10 o'clock on the state of the economy or something like that?
Hood is moving?
Yes, he is supposed to be speaking here today. Try and find that for you.
Hood is printing some highs right now. It's higher than the pre-market, 46.60 now. Oh, there's some more rain out there.
There's some what?
More rain. I'm looking out my window. More rain.
I think the rain's coming here. It's actually dry right now, but it sure looks like it's coming.
MLGO hit a high of 1088. I can now see that there's a pretty large wall of sellers there, but that could get taken out if just another whale comes on in and decides to buy it up. Webull, after turning up in the pre-market, going as high as 28.68, has not had a really good open. That's dropped all the way down to 24.25.
I think we gotta let the we gotta let this base. Maybe it is trying to do that right now. Him's having another good day here.
Oh, don't worry, Michael. I am very grateful for rain. It's one of the big reasons I moved away from California years ago.
I love rain personally. CoreWeave getting mentioned here.
I love
Wonder
it
how
too.
Adam Mesh is doing today after having CoreWeave. What did he say? I think 46 it needed to stay between. Still in range there.
I love the rain, but it's interfering with my backyard project. So I'd like it to just hold off for a little bit so we can finish that up.
Are you almost done?
We're supposed to do Pebble Tech this week.
That's one of the last steps, isn't it?
For the pool, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Grail continuing to rip to the highs here, Jay. Good stuff. I'm not chasing any of these moves. By the way, Yassine, you wanted to take a look at App earlier. App really screaming higher here. Let me know how you folks are trying to trade some of these things. Again, my strategy does not involve chasing huge candles to the upside.
Oh, beautiful. I love seeing this in App because this.
Sorry, just to answer a question. Besant to speak today, 10 a.m. on the state of the financial system. That's 15 minutes from now.
Love the price action on App. Didn't quite get the gap fill I was looking for, but that bear flag, pretty nice move beneath 200-day SMA. So I'm just happy that because I was talking about this thing going lower it went. So this recovery, great. It can do whatever it wants now. I just want to see this go lower. And it looks like Tempest AI is still trying to push higher. Man, some minerals are really moving. Like FCX is really taking off today. I was ever since that news.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where are we at with that? Still on a 30 handle here.
Yep, and it's I think it's the 40 calls, right? For May.
50.
Oh, is it 50? Okay.
Those are the 50. Now those I just have a trailer on that. And those are pretty much at zero because it's just so far away. Remember though, that trade we got 100% overnight on that trade.
Yeah.
So the gains were booked long ago on that. This was just a trailer that didn't work out. You got it, Chopped.
Well,
Nadim saying, I try to trade the breakouts above the pre-market high and previous day high. Look for a 5-minute candle with volume and buy on the close. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I focus on like different price levels there for yesterday's intraday high or the pre-market high. A day like today with everything just seems to be, as long as this holds here, you can probably play some of those upside breaks on those.
Hey, James, that's fine too. If this is not the kind of environment you want to take any profits or enter any new positions, that's great. Just stick to your plan. That's what I like to have folks do. If they have a plan on how they're going to trade that has worked for them, stick to that. That's great discipline.
90% of trading is actually waiting. You're actually just kind of sitting there waiting for something to happen, and then you're actually selling a position that you're already in. A day like today, if you're not selling or trimming some of your positions, I don't know about initiating a new one here, unless it's just very, very short term on a momentum basis.
Look at Tempest AI go. This was a great mention. It's now over 50. Excellent stuff. You guys are absolutely on fire this morning.
Is anyone thinking about a potential regression back to the mean if this move continues and we have like a huge move here today? Maybe some near dated options that might kind of play to the downside. Just wondering.
You know what's been working for me? I'm still gonna probably end up doing after the show.
Yep, I'm probably gonna just see where we're at around the close. We find some cheap options here. Again, I don't, Tim was just saying here, we just got the market is moving up here on words, 3.25% now, 3.25% on words. So we'll be looking for that near the end of the day here today.
We can't be ignoring UPXI anymore. Folks are flagging this, and I think they're right.
I was not trying to ignore it.
I included myself. Looks like this is trying to get over 12 again. The high of the pre-market was 12.10.
Actually, I might actually scalp this one. Hang on a sec.
No comments on where this goes if it breaks 12. I haven't been watching this one today, but this was a mover from last week, I believe.
Yeah. We'll try a little bit of this, see if we get a 12 break here.
It was Monday. Sorry, it was Monday. Let's see here. Just looking around, seeing what's looking good.
Tesla, another leg down. Costco pulled back off that $1,000 spot. Amazon continuing to press to the highs here. Izzy, what's the trade plan on Amazon? Let me know.
I still need to see SQQ get over $1 away from its VWAP, but it's
yeah. You know what? Thank you for the reminder. 13. There's so much stuff moving here. I didn't even look at that.
No, because I'm already paying attention to what I'm going to be trading later, and it's going to be these directional ETFs. They've been working so well.
Yeah, they have. Okay, so we are coming into just about $1 here.
Look at Hood go. Hood's also moving now over 47.
I'll keep that on there. I'll keep that on watch here. Here's Hood. Still waiting here on UPXI. We'll see if we get that.
Gary, on Monday, I thought it went to $22.
Is that a after hours regular session discrepancy? Maybe.
I don't know. I didn't look, but I saw. I remember specifically UPXI going to 22 because the high of that on Monday was 20 when we were. That was how high it went when we had the show going on here. Then after the show, it had on another run later, like about an hour later, it took it up to 22.
UPXI still think it's going for 12 there. I don't think this is done.
Yeah, still looking like it.
We'll sell into a pop above 12 if we get it. Izzy, answering my question here on Amazon. Small buy on Amazon yesterday. Wait for a pullback here. Love that. Don't chase the move higher here in Amazon. I'm doing the same thing with Palo Alto, by the way. It's not trying to chase this move higher here.
You're good, Gary. We're just looking for some clarification. That's all. But yeah, it looks like it did went to 22. But don't worry about it. You're good. All right, man. What do I trade? It's like too many options. Like I want column A and B, Just got to focus on stuff. Looks like you're getting a little bit of a bounce in SQQQ. I don't think it's going to turn around quite yet.
No, I think we're going to have to wait that one out. Yeah. I'll tell you something. One of the things that I noticed about that trade is that it's very rarely set up in the morning. Right. The actual setup will often come a little bit later, unless you're having some really outsized move right out of the open there. You're probably going to have to wait for that move to set up.
Winnie, it's not the greatest volume, but this is one that's been moving frequently over the past couple of weeks.
UPXI.
Excellent.
We almost got there, didn't quite.
This is coming up. Winnie is coming up to its pre-market high of 546.
I'll go to WIMI here. We know what the plan is on UPXI.
What indicator besides MACD and RSI do you all like to help find entry? I like using previous resistance and support levels. Those work really well for me.
Previous resistance and support, VWAP. Did he mention that one?
VWAP and the EMAs that I use are the 9, 15, 65, and 200. They work across all time frames.
And by the way, the time frame that we pay attention to the most here is going to be the 5 minute. Like you'll often hear us quoting numbers from these EMAs off this 5 minute chart.
Are you still using 3 minute charts?
No, no. That's something I kind of moved away from. That was Tuna's suggestion there. I do have that time aggregation set up so I can go back to it at any time, but no, I don't keep that open anymore. I've really once we started moving more to the EMA based approach, I really kind of stayed on the 5. I do also go to the 1 a lot, but when I'm reading some of these moving averages, I'm generally doing that off the 5 minute chart. That was a good question though.
Yeah, it was. Smoketon is saying Agri is setting up.
It's not breaking down here. Remember, we've got a pretty decent range on this. 250 plus was your high there. 265 was your high print.
Yeah, I think this thing might be done if it loses the 200 EMA, because right now that's on the 5 minute. That's come up to about where the low in the pre-market is from after the impulse move it had yesterday. It's been going sideways all through the after hours and the pre-market, and the low of the pre-market is down at 180, and that's about where the 200 EMA is. So I think if we lose that, then this is probably going to be something we're going to want to not trade anymore or move away from.
Yeah, Izzy, you were saying watch the pullback here on the market. White House official not considering something unilaterally. It would be part of the negotiations. Market is pulling off that high there. 544.99 was your high print. 542 is where it's currently settling right now. Excuse me.
Yeah, this is just such a good day to trim.
You got it, Dan. Let us know if you have any specific questions. Let us know. Some of these, I don't know every tactic. So some of these, if you ask me about something, I might just tell you I don't know. But if there's something that we can take some time to explain and that's helpful, yeah, giddy up. We'll do that. The other thing is if you pose the question to the group, we got a lot of bright people in here. You're likely going to get an explanation from somebody, even if it's not 13 or I. No problem, Dan. Happy to do that. Let us know what else we can do to help out.
JJ is mentioning SLXN. This has had a really nice run this morning. Are you kind of pointing this out because it's still on the move, or are you thinking that we might get some pullback here? Because it currently looks like it just made some new highs. So never mind what I was about to say. But as long as it keeps riding this VWAP up, this is probably going to keep going. But I would wait for some pullback here if you're going to try to go long on this. I don't think I would want to chase this. It looks like there is also a big seller up at 140. There's a lot of sellers concentrated up there.
There you go. Appreciate this, Tuna. Tuna saying, feel free to ask me about any of the tickers. So like I've been saying here about our community, we've got a bunch of great folks here. You can always ask. Throw those questions out there. We'll do everything that we can to get those answered. Thank you, Tuna. Market actually doing a decent job holding in here so far. Did pull off those highs, but it's really not giving everything back yet.
That's fine. It's been a fun morning already.
It sure has.
Let's see here.
Sure has. SLXN, this was actually a pretty good move here for those of you that took that one. Still waiting on UPXI here to get that 12 bust. I still think that's coming.
So it looks like so far today, the big resistance area in SPY has been up around 545. Got pretty close to that.
Let me go to that.
Got pretty close to that print, and we pulled off it since then.
Yep, 545 right there. That's right beneath the trend line, too, that we have drawn on here. Yep. That was your trend line that goes all the way back to what? October of 2022. I think you called that the 2022 trend line, if I'm not mistaken.
I call it. Yeah, I have it's the October 13th, 2022. I just have it the date marked off of that line because it helps me go back to see where it started. I sometimes name these lines with the dates just so I know where they're coming from.
Yeah, that's actually a pro tip, by the way. Name the line with the dates. That's a really good one. Here, by the way, Bitcoin. Here's your 5-minute chart on Bitcoin. Lynn here. Hello, Lynn Adams saying Bitcoin is not holding. Indeed, look at the reversal that we've had on Bitcoin. The high on the futures here this morning, 94,750. We are breaking beneath 93K at the moment. We're right towards 93K right now.
And on the way back down for the SPY, if we are going to continue to go lower, which I'm expecting that we are, no guarantee we do, but I expect that we will. That's going to mean we go under 540, and we're going to be looking at the 20-day SMA as support now that we're over it, which is interesting where it's at because that's also right about where a previous all-time high of 537 1 cent was or is. So there's going to be some support coming, it looks like, for a SPY if we get down there, but I don't know if it's going to hold up or not.
Okay.
Is he saying Uber breaking down? Let's take a look at Uber. I have no active trades. Let's take a look at it.
Yes, I'm wondering here if we should take some of these.
Okay.
I'm going to trim a little here on UPXI. Still waiting for that 12. Just want to make sure I get myself paid here. Here we go. That's all I had to do was trim it. Oh my God, there we go. Oh, I'm going to exit the rest of it. Okay, that is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. That's all I had to do was just sell a little bit so I didn't have the full position. Bang, right above 12 out on UPXI. Sorry, I couldn't change the chart fast enough. Had to manage that, but okay. There we go. UPXI looking pretty good. Volume stick is huge. The volume is continuing to expand. I can't believe it just did that to me. That is unreal. The market is out to get me. Unbelievable.
Can I interest you in some coffee?
I don't know if I need any more till lunchtime here. UPXI continuing to build above 12 here.
Really, really good bounce here with TEM. That had a nasty pull all the way down to VWAP, and it's bouncing off VWAP. So that was a nice little bounce there. Don't know if we're going to see it go back over 50 or not, but
okay.
Point it out. But Uber, real quick, if people draw a line at $77.50, that's been a pretty big resistance area that the price has been experiencing ever since it lost that level back in February. That level has been the bane of upside for Uber ever since then. You have to look at a daily chart, draw a line at 77.50. You'll see what I mean.
Here it is, just about right in here.
Yeah. So look at the price action all year so far. In February, after losing that level, it has been not able to recapture it, despite multiple tests.
Smoke Tuna saying UPXI entry was yesterday. Not for me, boss. It was today, but it worked. That was pretty good. Got a 40+ cents on that little move there. Pete, all out of Dell and NEE. Incredible morning. Hey, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. This actually is a really nice move. This thing was $84 yesterday. Way to go, Pete.
Looks like there's
registering.
Looks like there's some bouncing off of this pullback that we just experienced here at the broader market. A lot of things went down to their VWAPs, and now they're coming right back off of them.
And so that's making me wonder, do we take a shot here at maybe some of these short-term bearish? Let me see.
Oh, thank you for that. Let's see. That was James Wong. Home sales up. Thank you for that mention. That is a big improvement over the estimate. New home sales for March, 724,000 versus the 684,000 estimate. I wonder what that does for the home sellers. Let's look. DHI, where are we at? Over 2.5% up today. Toll Brothers up 4% today. But this could just be because the whole market's up. But I thought it was worth pointing those out after that data print.
Part of me is wondering here, SPXS calls might start legging into these. Thinking maybe we just kind of reverse a little bit. Part of me is wondering if it's too early here today, but the set being introduced at the moment, we'll be speaking momentarily. You know what I might do? I might actually add some of these calls here. These are real cheap. So even if so I'm looking at the calls that expire next week, the May 2nd expiry here, the 8 calls, they're 14 cents. So I'm going to take some of these, I think. And if Besant If Besson's comments drive the market higher, I might actually add to these if they get cheaper. So let me at least initiate a position here. Regression back to the mean, if we get it.
Yeah, I think.
Again, these are the SPXS 8 calls that expire next week, 9 days to expiry. Long there. Paid 13 cents for these. We'll add if this goes down, but I want to have some exposure right here just in case some headline comes out that sinks things. And by the way, just use profit for this options trade off the profit off the scalp. So I'm basically don't even have anything at risk here other than the money that I just made today.
Okay, thanks, Jay Rice, for the PHM update. This is another home builder. It looks the Polta Group.
Mm-hmm.
They just had earnings yesterday. He was pointing that out. Now they just are also receiving analyst ratings, and they're giving their opinions, so getting a lot of attention. And we already had the DR Horton earnings. And I thought Felicia's comments on that were great.
They were.
I thought they were absolutely great. So I think, let's see here. I think we're probably going to continue to see some more homes being sold. Like that seems like it's starting to pick up. They may be starting to get more affordable. And one of the things that we kind of speculated might be happening is with some of these retirement portfolios getting hit as a result of the tariffs taking the market down. Maybe some folks are starting to sell their homes to raise cash, or maybe taking out HELOCs. This is just speculative. I don't have the data for it, but it's something that we were talking about. And then if the rate cut is coming later this year or whenever, then that's probably going to drive more home buying. We might see the housing industry turn around. We'll have to wait and see, though.
I was going to say rates coming down, I think, is really going to accelerate that. Yeah. RZLT, which we talked about earlier, this has got a trend line it really needs to take out. Lion saying, what options did you do? I did the SPXS. That is the inverse S&P Bear 3X levered direction product. SPXS, sorry, 13. SPXS 8 calls that expire next week. Paid 13 cents per call.
Jay Rice telling me that Dollar Tree is up since the big insider buy. I'm still in Dollar General. That's the one I'm trading, but Dollar Tree should do well too. I just like Dollar General better because they offer produce, fresh produce.
That insider buy that Jay's talking about here, $1.23 million on that position. That came on April 16th. Stock is up massively since then. He ended up paying $72.75. Stock's $85 right now. Just a 13-point move since April 16th on that. Pretty good. Giddy up, Jay. Jay. I think I just said Jake.
We're starting to move over that trend line in Dollar General. Just need to get over this $98. I think that was what it was. Pretty close to $98. That was the high from April 4th. I think this is going to get into the triple digits. I'm holding this for the long term. I was buying.
Sorry, which one?
Dollar General.
Oh, yeah.
I was buying this one, and it was what's my cost basis on
that was a great trade earlier this year. I'm all out of that though. I had options, not stocks, so I didn't hold that.
Yeah, this is gonna be a 1 year plus for me.
Big B's, are you still out there? Were you trading Restoration Hardware? Someone mentioned RH earlier. I missed the comment, and I'm sorry about that. Big B's, I know that you've been trading this before, so I kind of just thought that maybe it was you. Sorry if I'm messing this up. RH has actually had a pretty nice move here in the last 2 days.
And my cost on DJ is $76.98. I bought a couple of times back in March.
What produce can you get for $1? A half a head of lettuce?
I don't know. I don't shop
okay. Big B's, you are in RH here. It looks like you're trading this here today. Good stuff so far. Market's still struggling with that 545 level on the SPY that we talked about. I haven't seen anything come out from Besant yet. Has he started talking? Michael sold CoreWeave after that big move. We'll ring you register for that. CRWV, that was awesome.
Looks like we're still kind of hanging out about where we were past 10 minutes. Not doesn't look like the volume's hanging out too much. I'm looking at the SPY, and it's really starting to go lower and lower in terms of the volume. So it's really starting to appear like the market's about ready to come in, unless Besson starts talking.
Well, that's exactly why I wanted to take some there. Now, I don't think that has started yet. Did we get anything on that? Izzy, nice job on Amazon. I know you had said you had bought a little yesterday, so it looks like you're clearing the deck on that for a gain on this pop. Market here still floating 543. I haven't seen anything on CNBC yet. You haven't said any, you folks haven't said anything yet here. Let's see if we got anything. No, we just got that home sales print, which you talked about already. Boy, that was a big home sales in March.
Yeah, Jay Wild mentioning AREB. This is taking off right now.
Yes, it is. Good morning, Jay Wild. Great to see you. AREB testing 3 there. So no talk yet, is he? Okay. STFU, Ryan, you are studying the most bizarre diversification of your portfolio. Dollar General for the lower classes and Resto Hardware.
That's what I was laughing at.
Okay, let me be very clear real quick. Let me be very clear. Neither of those stocks are currently in my portfolio. I'm trying to talk about the stocks that the group are trading here. Now, I did trade Dollar General earlier, and I thanked the entire group for that thesis because I wouldn't have traded that without you. Restoration Hardware, not quite the same thing. I don't know if I've ever traded that. Big B's here, though. We've actually talked about that quite a bit on the Happy Hour show. I have neither of those in my portfolio, STFU, but that is actually really funny.
That's a good mention on SNOA coming up to the 65 EMA. Now, I think you could be right about this move being short-lived because the 65 EMA has been suppressing the upside price action ever since it dropped beneath it in the pre-market around 8 o'clock. So if we do manage to get back over this, then it's got the VWAP that's also in the way. But when I look at the price ladder, I see that the biggest obstacle right now is going to be just above the 65 EMA where there's a seller that has a large concentration of shares at 426. Got to get through that.
Tuna here saying, guys, don't overlook TIL. This is Instill Bio. This stock was $16 yesterday. We're up 44% here today. I have no idea what this stock is, Tuna. Clinical stage biopharmaceutical company focused on cell therapy pipelines for analogous tumor infiltrating lymphocyte, or TIL. Okay, tumor infiltrating lymphocyte. Therapies for the treatment of patients with cancer. Okay.
Short squeeze candidate.
Yep. Oh, this one is? It's got high short interest too? Oh, yeah.
And the days to cover is pretty pretty up there. So I think that could be a squeeze. What's the financials look like? They have a lot of cash and short-term investments, so that they could extend their capital out for a period of time. They do lose about 12 million. Well, at least that's what their last read said. They do lose about 12 million a quarter. But those short-term investments are probably going to be their cash safe haven for now. 13, PayPal, please, news. Let's take a look at PayPal. It's up 4%. This came up to that trend line here that I have. Let's see what's going on with it. Expands in Middle East and Africa with new Dubai hub serving 80 countries. That's certainly a bullish headline. Let's see here. And then, of course, on the same day here, we have Compass Point initiating coverage on PayPal with a sell rating and a price target of $56. So let me take a look at the chart again. So this is death crossed back, I guess Liberation Day we had a death cross, looks like. This level that it's at right now, 64.50, has been or that it came up to, that's been a trend line I've had here or a resistance area I've had here for a while. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, which ticker are you talking about? I'm going to try to follow along here. I was doing some. All right, let me go to my bigger chart here. I'm going to go with you on PayPal. PYPL.
Well, I'll say this: if it's going to see more upside, it's got to get over 64.50. I think that's number one. Number two, once we get to the 500-day SMA, where that was support before we lost it in March and it became resistance, that's going to have to get recaptured. And you also have the 50-day SMA bearing down on it. So it's got a lot of resistance to overcome. And I don't know that we're going to see all those levels and those moving averages taken out right away. So I would have to say at this stage, it's still looking like it's in a downtrend. And until that breaks, it's probably going to still go lower. That's kind of where I'm at with it. It needs to start breaking. It needs to start breaking the downtrend that it's in.
You think any closes above this 20 might kind of turn that story around a little bit?
What I would actually lean on is I would probably take the February 4th candle. That's from the gap down. That big red candle that you have there from the gap down, February 4th. There you go.
Right here.
Yeah, and just draw a trend line from there all through the highs that it made, trying to get back up. That's the downtrend that it's in right now.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so I'd like to see that get taken out, and if that does, then I'd probably be a little bit more bullish on PayPal. So that's the first. This is the first things that need to happen. We need to break this downtrend and recapture some of these levels.
Okay. Besant speaking right now. Okay.
Oh, Smoke Tuna, thank you. Was that on the cash and equivalents and their short-term investments? Because when I was looking at the balance sheet, it looks like, here, 1 second, they got about 8.8 million in cash, but they have over 104 million in these short-term investments. And that's kind of what I was speaking on about them being able to convert that easily to cash. You tell me if that's based on what that estimate is, because the runway I see when it's just strictly cash position is 8.8 million. SNOA is bouncing, says Kathy.
Oh, that's one. You know what? Shame on me. I haven't looked at that since we looked at it this morning. How's OKLO doing? By the way, so this is interesting. OKLO had news yesterday. Besant, excuse me. Here we go. Sam Altman steps down as OKLO board chair, freeing nuclear startup to work more with AI companies. If you take a look at the actual chart here, this thing sold off like crazy. We're actually down like 12%. We got everything back and have gone higher here. OKLO.
Up 10% now.
Yeah, I didn't play that at all, but man, oh man, that what a move there, OKLO.
Really interesting price action on the daily. The support from the 200-day SMA was really helping it along here, not go too much lower and kind of stay within this channel, this sideways channel that it's in, from about 1725 to about, I guess we'll call it 2780. But that 1725, that has been a very strong support area. You can even draw a line there at just a horizontal line at 1725, and to see what I'm talking about. That was also kind of where the price is trying to break out of back last year with no success. And then we broke out late in October. There you go. Now look, just look completely to the left.
Yeah.
Look at that. Beautiful. That's 17.
This actually intersects with our triangle, which was that trend that we drew. That's really nice.
Yeah, so I think I'd want to keep the 1725 level just on my chart in case we see some more downside.
Okay, good stuff there. OKLO. Grail, I know we were talking about this one earlier. Looks like this has kind of stopped there at about 35. GRAL. RZLT, this one's still obeying our trend line that we've identified. That's gorgeous. Giddy up.
Absolutely gorgeous. I miss Crocodile Hunter. Market Pulse, says Izzy. Let's see here. Yeah, but still got a green candle on the day in SPY, although it is starting to.
Yeah, I'll put your SPY chart up here real quick.
Yeah, that wick is starting to look a little bit longer now. Less of a real body. UPXI is not done. Well, I want to see some volume in this thing. That's what I want to see. And I don't like these upper shadows that it's been putting in, beyond 1190. It is encouraging that it's that the price is holding above the VWAP. But the next thing I think we're going to need to see is we're going to need to see some volume to get up and away from the VWAP. SLXN.
I still think that 12 level is going to be important here on UPXI.
SLXN. This just recaptured its VWAP. This might be getting some volume. It's trying to get back up to the 125
sure is.
Session high. And then TEM it's still hanging out above its VWAP, but it's kind of going sideways. I'm not really sure I like the way it's working right now. We need to get some more volume in this one as well, because if we don't, then the MACD is indicating that this has the potential to roll over. All right, SLXN, that's still moving up pretty close to that session high. It still has that wall of sellers at 140 though, and it's starting to look like some other sellers are starting to pile in around 123 to 125.
Yeah, that 125 spot's going to be key there.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think this could be it with XLN. It's next candle. Just need to get this volume here, and we can take out those sellers. Otherwise, they're going to push this thing back down to VWAP. All right, what's Bitcoin doing? Because this seems like it's really starting to drop, and it is. It's now down under 93,000.
How are some of the Bitcoin stocks handling this? That's not something that I've taken a look at. I'm going to start with Coinbase here, MSTR next. Do we have Jay Diamond back yet today?
So you got, I'm on iBit, and I shaved a bit off there when it was popping this morning, or earlier this morning, but still got a position for iBit. Let's take a look at some of these other Bitcoin names that we know about that are actually the miners. Mara is up over yesterday's close, but it's starting to go red on the day. Riot, same thing. That one's up actually really nice over yesterday's close. What's really nice about this Riot chart is that it's been trying to get over the 20-day SMA for a while now, and this looks like a really nice move over the 20-day SMA. We did get something similar back in March, and we the next couple of days after this, or after the move over the 20, resulted in coming back underneath it. So we need to see some more days closing above this 20-day SMA in Riot. MSTR.
Yalt is asking, what do you mean reclaiming the VWAP? We're talking about when the price trades under the VWAP line intraday and then reclaims it. It trades back above it, crosses to the upside to hold above it.
MSTR, this one is now, well, it's kind of about where the close was yesterday, but this has come down more than the other ones. This looks like it could end up going down to about 330 before it finds support. That would be my, just looking at this chart, that's what it looks like to me. Like that
would have been your high from Monday, by the way.
Yeah. So I think 330. If it holds up at 330, that would be a good spot to try and take the bounce off the trend line. I don't know if you have the trend line here. Oh, nice moving AREP.
Yeah, Jay just mentioned this. This is breaking out and taking the next leg higher here. This was holding right above 3. It looks like we're going for 350 now. Jay, good stuff. James, what do you think about those coin earnings? Tough to feels like gambling trying to take an earnings play on coin. Curious as to what you think about what that print might entail. QBTS is going now. Are we getting back to the quantum names? Wouldn't that be something?
Well, I'll tell you something. Every single one of my space names is up today. Every single one. Some more than others. Redwire is up over 10%, almost 11.
Yep. No, it's the nuts and bolts one.
Yep. Rocket Lab up almost 10%. ASTS over almost 11%. The majority of these are, single digits, but they're not small single digits. There's only a few that really are. Really nice day for the space names. And I think that that'd be silly if this is all because Elon is spending less time from Doge. Because
I can't imagine that that's what this is about. If that's the move, then I think that's a shortable move.
Because the big space name is SpaceX, and that's what he's tied to. So that's just kind of the dot connecting. I'm thinking it's probably not exactly that, but maybe a little bit of it.
Seeing more Tesla calls come across the wire here. Is Tesla reclaiming the trend line of the triangle that we've been looking at?
And then as far as the quantum names go, and it could be the same thing with SpaceX. Just the everything getting a lift, possibility of lower rates. It's just Bitcoin going up. Just everything speculation, risk on. So all the risk on names like the quantums, the space, the drones, the nuclears, they're all going to start seeing inflows.
The move back in Bitcoin, I wonder how that's going to do for other spec assets. Bitcoin here looks like 93,000. Looks like it did try to reclaim that 93,000 on the move down, on the last push down here.
Oh, thank you, Evan. I did not see that news. ASTS made a big deal with Japan's biggest telecoms company. And it really does. Oh, here we go with SLXN. We just got some the next candle, and I saw a big.
Here, let me put it on screen.
Action.
Sorry.
I don't want to get anybody too excited, but I just had it on my screen, and the next candle started, and I saw a big flash of green. So, see what happens here. They are starting to really pile into that high and try to take this thing down. Here comes VWAP. So if this doesn't hold VWAP, this might roll over here. TEM, on the other hand, that's coming up to test its high of the day. 50.16 is what the high of the day is.
Hello, Kat. Oh, am I glad he didn't just step on the keyboard? Yeah, what are you doing? But he doesn't have any trade recommendations yet.
Well, let us know, buddy.
Jay saying Elon said on the call last night that China still dominates a lot of the space stuff as well as drones. SpaceX is still number one, however. Market is trying to push back up here. SLXN pulling, just lost the VWAP, by the way.
But TEM on the other hand has made new highs. Your VWAP I think is a little bit different. It's still holding above VWAP, but it did. Okay, now it's going underneath it. MACD is starting to indicate that this might roll over if the VWAP doesn't hold up here. If they don't start having some bids come in. But yeah, that's a tough one. SLXN. Here we go. Maybe it's starting to get some better price action now. Just keep in mind with those sellers there from about 120 to 125. There's a lot of them, and then there's a whole bunch at 140. All right, UPXI. That's looking like this could come down to 1040.
Market looking like it's trying to break out here to some new highs. Dow, NASDAQ, and SPY all look the same.
What just happened? It just seemed like we just had a big turnaround all of a sudden. Cup and handle with SLXN.
All the same.
Yeah. There. I guess I need to look at a smaller time frame here to see that better. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that looks like it could be a cup and handle. Now we need to see this resolve, which means it's supposed to go higher.
ACHR, Izzy's mentioning ACHR.
Perfect.
Archer's going higher here. This is another one of those spec plays.
Yep, this was a spec.
Oil just got clapped.
This was a SPAC.
Oil
And
did get hit right down to 62 on crude.
Needham is saying load up on Archer Aviation. That was a headline from yesterday. I can see why. It's up 10% today. Let's see what the longer term time frame looks like. So this is recapturing its 50-day estimated as well. I was looking for this to get down to 520. Didn't quite get there. The lowest that it went was on April 7th. That low was 548. 520 was a very, very prominent support resistance area. But this
NBIS curling back up here.
One thing I like about this Archer Aviation is that it has broken the downtrend. The next resistance area for Archer is going to be at about 915 though. Like 915, somewhere in there.
Real quick, Hector mentioning Intel here. Intel at the highs. Intel actually had some news today. Intel shares trading higher following a report indicating the company plans to cut over 20% of its workforce as part of its restructuring. Remember, we got Lip-Bu Tan, who has an extremely impressive resume as the new CEO there, which should be helpful. We also got some news about them kind of looking into some ties to China. For that. So Intel been back and forth on news here. 20% workforce reduction should be good for the bottom line, though.
SLXN, this might be the move here. It's trying. This would have to be the resolution of the head of the cup and handle. It's trying to take out those 120 sellers. If it gets through there, we'd be looking at the 140 seller. It's tough resistance right at this area too, about 125, 120, 125. Getting told to look at UPXI for the head and shoulders. I think I see what you're talking about. The left shoulder should be about 945 to 955, I think, with the head in the early 10 o'clock area. Right shoulder at about 10:15, and we're resolving.
Tesla here, really nice bounce off that 200 EMA on the 5. Just to kind of go back to our point about some of the EMAs that we use on those charts. Tesla actually looks like it's trying to break out here.
Here we go with SLXN, new highs, 129.
There it is.
Great recognition of the pattern, great setup. Let's just see if we can get up to 140. Looks like they moved that the cluster of sellers up 5 cents because now it's at 145. A-Red Big Knife. Let's see.
Market is trying to go higher here. 545.43 is your high print. We are trying to break 545 again.
That was great stuff on SLXN. Great job, everybody, pointing out these movements with SLXN and UPX. Great stuff. 25K wall at 130. Yeah, I see that. The real big one, I just keeping an eye on. It's up in the 140s. I'm sure you see it too. But yeah, I do see that that little cluster of sellers about 129 to 131, with the most of it being at 130. Absolutely see that. Yeah.
A-Red coming back in off that 350 that moved to 350. Today's YouTube's birthday. How old is YouTube? Happy birthday, YouTube.
What is it, like 22 years old? How old is
it's a good question. I don't know how old it is.
RLMD Penny says smoke tuna. Let me take a look at RLMD. Is this a biotech since it has MD in it? Yes, it sure is. Relmada Therapeutics. Float 32 million.
AI Rod, sorry, while you're going over that, AI Rod, great call here on QBTS. This has the exact expanding volume that we're looking for. What a move here. This nice little breakthrough 7. QBTS.
Okay, I don't see any news for RLMD. Don't know what this is moving on. Don't see high short interest. There must be something coming.
20. YouTube is 20 years old. God, it can't even drink yet. February 14th. So Pete's saying you guys are all wrong. Pete's saying every one of you saying that is wrong, and that the birth date is actually February 14th. Still 20 years old, though.
I mean, mine was more of a guess. But, if this was The Price is Right, I'd be out.
I loved that show when I was a kid, man. I absolutely loved that.
That was the only reason to really stay home, since you couldn't play video games.
Well, I don't know about we couldn't. Both my parents worked, so.
Oh, well, you had the workaround.
Anyway, Price is Right, and then after that, it was movies or video games or nap time.
Look at SLXN. That's halted to the downside. Big broadsword here through the VWAP. And look at the MACD. It's about to cross.
I'm glad I didn't trade that one. Oh my God. I would have lost money on this for sure.
I think that breakout was where you needed to sell.
Yeah, for sure I would have lost money on this if I opted to trade that one. Tesla's still continuing to trade higher here. NBIS actually looks pretty strong too, although the volume is drying up a little bit. Izzy, great sell on Amazon, by the way. Amazon has pretty much stopped there at about 186, and the volume died off after that move higher. That was well done. Eero is asking, or is that Eric? Yeah, I messed that up before. I can't tell on that monitor for whatever reason. I can't discern between C's and E's. But nonetheless, he's asking, what do you use to see the wall of sellers? We use the level 2 in our broker. We call it a ladder because it's like basically shows you where the buyers and sellers are and the price in the middle column. But really, any broker is going to have multiple kinds of level 2 tools. They should be available to you for free. That's where we're looking at that. That's not part of what's being shared on the screen, to be clear. I'm going to step away for just 1 sec. I'm going to leave SLXN on the screen.
No problem. And some brokers will have different names for their price ladders. I don't know what they all call them, but for example, Webel calls it the ladder, and TradeStation calls it the matrix. So they're going to have different names, but most brokers should have some kind of price ladder that lets you see where there's orders being placed at. Like I have on my price ladder, I can see all kinds of orders on for the buy side and the sell side. No problem, Eric. Let's see. I think it's going to be the high of day, but could commit seppuku. You're talking about UPXI, their SCFU. Let me see. Okay, so what you're talking about is maybe having an end of this head and shoulders, because it looks like we had a smaller time frame. Like I think somebody said the 1 minute there was a head and shoulders, and I thought that was right. But now when you look at a larger time frame, like the 5 or the 15 minute, you can see that there might be a second larger head and shoulders setting up. So let's see if that ends up happening. The price for UPXI could end up forming that right shoulder, which would take it up to about 1175. So we'll see what we end up getting with.
Which one? Which ticker?
UPXI.
UPXI.
Book Trader and Interactive Brokers for that price ladder. So there you go. Every broker has a different name.
Yeah, STFU saying level 2 in Thinkorswim. The ladder that we talk about is also called the active trader tab in Thinkorswim. That's predominantly what I use.
MACD is screaming a buy on the UPXI. I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying. Looks like, to me, I think we need to see a little bit more curling in the MACD, but I see what you're talking about. TEM, Tempest AI, does not look like it's finished. It's trying to make new highs again. Just be careful. We've seen one of these things try to do the same at night. So I think, when it comes to some of these that we've been trading and the volume's starting to slow down, we're past the 1030 point where people start to move away from their desks, talk about all the great trades they had with their buddies as they go out to brunch. I think it's time to really be raising stops if we're going to keep trading. Let's just protect ourselves and be safe.
Looking at the SPY chart here, just as you were saying that, it again looks like it's finding some resistance here at this 545. Dan, you were asking, I think you're asking me what my entry was on the XPSS. It's below my entry. So I bought, remember, I'm using options for this. I bought the options that expire May 2nd, the ones that are 9 days till expiry. Those are next week's expiry on SPXS, and it is the 8 call. Okay, it is the 8 call. I paid 13 cents. The current ask is 12 cents. So I'm actually down a couple of cents on that. I will reassess this also later in the day. If we hold here, if we really don't look, well, really, if we hold here, if we trade a little bit higher here, we'll likely add to this position. Lower the cost. These are real cheap calls. If these go to zero, I'm okay with it. Don't be putting anything in this trade that you're not willing to lose. This is basically just trying to trade the back and forth that we've seen here for the market.
Watch my Microsoft, says Andrew Senior TV to me. Yeah, I'm liking that it's approaching 380. This was, are you saying watch it because 380 was kind of a support area that's kind of now become a little bit resistance? Because I could absolutely see that potential rejection at 380, but I still like Microsoft for the long term.
Mazrur, if you're saying it sounds like we're lagging 3 to 4 minutes behind, please refresh your browser. We put no delay on this. That is just your internet connection. Please refresh. You should get better latency. There's nothing that we can do to make that better for you.
SLXN open looks like it's coming down to $1, and I see some folks talking about a wall of buyers at $1. It's going back and forth between that dollar. It looks like it just lost it too. Yeah, I don't think I want to touch SLXN right now. It looks like it could have some more downside. Maybe it catches a bid down at 98 cents, takes it back over $1, kind of like how it is right now. But I don't think I want to trade this one anymore. I don't care what it does; it can do whatever it wants.
Real quick there, Mazrur. So just about the whole latency thing, it's funny too because I actually was listening to my favorite sports radio station the other day. Not yesterday, the day before. And I was listening to it in the app, and they were talking about AJ Brown had his car stolen and then returned in the same day. And one of the people asked if you use things like air tags, put them in your car, you can track it, you'll know where it is. That way, if someone steals it, you know where to go, or you know where to send the police, this, that, and the other thing. And one of the guys on the radio was like, that's such a good idea. Does anyone do this? Like, that's crazy. That's such a good idea. And I'm thinking the entire time, I'm like, I literally have an app for my car that tells me where it is.
Yes, people do.
I don't even need an air tag. The app does it.
Yes, people do this, but they're stalkers. They don't do it to their own cars.
So I called the radio station because they were taking calls. They gave out the phone number, and I was like, yeah, I want to talk about this. My car has an app that allows us. And he's like, well, we moved on. We moved on from that. And it turns out that my app that was streaming the live radio was several minutes behind, and I missed the entire thing. I was so upset. And then I was like, oh, this is what folks in the stream say. This is why they get upset, because they're delayed on that. Now it all makes sense. So that all came full circle for me earlier this week. And most of us do have apps. Exactly. It almost probably doesn't even matter what brand of car you have. There are lots of apps on there. Pete, this is a good question. What's your take on Google into earnings tomorrow? So this is tough. I like Google. I want to own this. I'm not sure if this is the earnings report to own it right now. I would expect a lot of these tech earnings are not going to be great. I don't have a position on this. My gut tells me that we probably see something similar to Tesla, right? They don't have the greatest report, but it might trade higher. One of the other things here is that option sellers seem to be winning some of these prints more often than option buyers. So as far as actually trading this for earnings, I probably would just wait for the earnings print. I do want to own this long term. I'd really like this to come in maybe a little bit more, maybe 140, I feel like I missed it last time it came in. But Pete, to answer your question just straight out, I think it's going to be similar to Tesla. I don't think they're going to report great earnings, but I'm not sure if the stock really trades down.
AREB now dropping.
What do you think, Pete? Sorry, get in there, 13.
No, I'll speak on Google in a moment, but we were getting asked about AREB. This needs to recapture VWAP, or we're probably heading lower. It's kind of hanging out around here above 250, so see what you get. But I think if we're going to see any good, any trading opportunities, first thing I'd like to see is a recapture of the VWAP. As far as Google goes, one thing that I'll be looking at, or I think that's going to be important when it comes to their earnings report, is what they have to say about their ad revenue, their forecast for that. Because if we are heading for a slowing economy, that's likely going to mean fewer ad revenue for some of these companies that have a large presence on the internet. So that'd be like Meta, Google. Those are the first two that come to mind. So I'd be, and maybe also see that in some other traditional telecoms like Disney as well. So I think that when it comes to Google's report, that's going to be the biggest thing for me that I'm going to be watching for, is what they think their ad revenue is going to be like going forward.
Okay, that's you think there's going to be anything on AI or quantum out of this report?
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
And I wonder if that's going to be a mover at all. The AI one, I think, a little bit more than the quantum one.
It could be one of those future revenue plays when it comes to the AI and the quantum and whatnot. But when it comes to their fundamentals and where they're actually getting money now, it's a lot of it is ad revenue. And I think if they take a hit to that, it's going to also hit their stock price. So I think that's the part of their earnings I'm going to be paying the most attention to. Okay.
Good stuff there. Pete, let me know if that's helpful. He said thank you. And let me know if you have an outlook, Pete.
I just realized how dark it is.
Guy, right, Pete?
Look how dark the screen is now. The clouds are really covering up all the light coming in through my window. It just got so dark in here.
You need a light.
I have a light here. Hold on a second.
It does look like the cover of like a goth album. Yeah, dude, look how perfect that is. I love that globe, those old school globes too, in that thing that sits on the ground. Oh, that is the coolest thing.
Yeah, this one, has a light bulb, and this is an older one too. But anyway, that was my grandparents when they passed on. I just held on to it because it was in my grandfather's office, and I love my grandfather. So now his globe's watching over me. He's got my back.
I like it.
Pony,
I'll take that.
Pony continues its sloth ride up. What is a Luddite? I don't know what that is. Sorry if that's ignorant of me. I don't know what a Luddite is.
I don't either. Hope we're both not embarrassing ourselves here.
I embarrass myself every day. It's nothing new for me.
That's true. Me too. I was gonna say that's true of me as well.
All right, market. What is it looking like here? Because seems like all this excitement kind of died out a little bit. Got right back up to where those highs of the day were after looking like we were going to turn red on the.
Okay, here we go. So a Luddite, a person opposed to new technology or ways of working.
Oh, that's not me at all.
Yeah, that's not me at all. That's not me at all. Like I'm, if anything, I'm the opposite of that. I will try something that's literally on the bleeding edge of technology, even if it hurts me. Hence bleeding edge.
I guess I'm just not, so willing to jump into the latest hype or craze of something new. But I'm not against new technology. Like I would love, and I know it probably will never happen, but I would love to one day be able to fly an eVTOL, like a flying car. I mean, we're getting pretty close there, and there's some companies that are really interesting, but with all the risks about having people be taking their vehicles into the skies, probably not going to happen. But it's a dream. I can dream, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yalt asking about RX here. So this 6th level is key. This does look like this is breaking out. right now, and actually it doesn't have too high of RSI. Here's the thing: Recursion Pharmaceutical shares are trading higher if the company unveiled preliminary clinical data for one of its drugs here. This is not anything that I follow, so I don't know what's next here on that.
So
this is a 1b2 trial of that drug.
Yeah, and it's not the final result. So this is just some data from an ongoing trial or series of trials. So I guess this is just a little bit of a little breadcrumb to get investors and traders excited.
And it does look like they have enough cash maybe to even start the next phase of the trial. They do lose quite a bit per quarter, but they have quite a bit on the balance sheet.
Yeah, so I would say at the least they probably have like 2 to 3 quarters of cash they could comfortably use. At the most, maybe 5. But I don't know, there's also a high short interest on this too. Almost 24% with over 5 days to cover. Very interesting one, RXRX. Don't know.
So the question here that we got was, do we think this can go higher? I mean, I think it can. I don't know anything about the drug enough to tell you. I do like the 6 break, and a close above that is definitely a bullish thing.
We need the anti-gravity stuff before we go Jetsons, I think. Oh gosh, you let me know when we get to that point, because that'll change the entire world. I don't think I'd have to worry about flying cars anymore. We just, strap that shit to our back and just take off.
Dude, a jetpack, that just reminds me of Thunderball. I mean, that's my first jetpack experience was watching the James Bond flick Thunderball. I was like, that might be the coolest thing I ever saw.
Oh, good mention on ENSC, Gary. This is starting to curl back up. Good mention.
And then real quick here, Rodney is saying, hey, Ryan, what's the bottom right chart on Pro? Are you talking about this? Down here, the very bottom right corner, it's not a chart. It's the signals tool that is reporting session highs and session lows, and it's also counting them. Okay. 13, closing words here. We're going to move over to all access. You got anything for the group?
Hey, I'll try to turn my light on more often so you can see my pretty face. But
so we can see the globe.
I can see the globe. But, I should have some more light tomorrow. Great job training today. This has been a fun day, folks. Let's have another fun day. We'll come back at this tomorrow with the same energy. We'll find some things to trade. We'll trade them. We'll make some money. Folks, have a great rest of your day. You got over the hump. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay. Real good stuff. 13's departure leaves room for the one and only Dan Leach, who once was a backup singer for Cher. Let's check in with Dan. Dan, how you doing?
Well, 2 things. I wore the leather a lot as well at the chapel.
I know that.
But I got to ask you, I had no idea that 13 lived in Mordor. Is that a recent thing? Did he just move there?
You know what? He's trying to go fish that ring out of the molten lava pile. So he's just doing what he can. He's spreading the good word for everybody.
I believe in his dream. That's for sure, right, guy.
Dan, what do you got coming up here?
Got my man Matt Kaufman, the Senior Vice President and Head of ETFs at Calamos Investments. Looking forward to a great talk with him, my man.
Okay, I'll get out of your way here. Take it away, Dan.
Hey, Zingers, and welcome to All Access. I do have a fantastic guest for you today. It's Matt Kaufman, the Senior Vice President and Head of ETFs at Calamos Investments. He's joining us for an exclusive talk today. All Access starts right now. And it is my pleasure to welcome in the Senior Vice President and Head of ETFs at Calamos Investments, Matt Kaufman. Wonderful to be with you today, Matt.
Dan, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
And the dream is alive, my friend. Well, let's go. If you could give the peeps an overview of Calamos.
Yeah, Calamos is a risk manager. We've been at this for about 45 years. We started just a few years after the options market opened in Chicago. So we've been doing options-based strategies for quite a long time. Started off in the convertible bond space. So if you're familiar with converts or maybe not familiar, it combines a corporate bond with an option to that corporation. We're the largest converts manager in the country. We've got a lot of alts funds. That's our bread and butter. We're in the ETF space now, a lot of active ETFs, a lot of outcome-based ETFs, and that's where we're operating in these days.
Yeah, Matt, 45 years. That's nothing to sneeze at, man. That's a lot of history. So it's very impressive. You guys know what you're doing. Let's talk about what kind of products you offer.
Yeah, for sure. In the ETF space, we offer a lot of structured outcome ETFs. So we had the world's first 100% protected ETFs that gives you exposure to markets like the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, Russell 2000. Now you can get Bitcoin exposure with a safety net. So that's how we're operating in the ETF space, offering exposure to those markets with 100% protection. So we're seeing people de-risk some of their equity exposure. We're seeing them tie their cash now to the equity markets, or a bit of a mind bender, but you can now tie cash to the price of Bitcoin and get no downside risk, but get the upside of Bitcoin to about 12%, which is better than a risk-free rate that you might get otherwise. And then we have a lot of other ETFs in the market as well. CanQ is one of my personal favorites. Gives you equity upside to the NASDAQ 100 with a bond floor. And so that product has held up tremendously well through the environment that we're in. Working on a few other ideas as well. We're excited to bring the market. And then we have interval funds, we have mutual funds. So we've got the full gamut here.
Yeah, as you mentioned, great stuff to be involved in with very tumultuous times as we're going through right now. And Matt, as I love to say, it is an incredible time to be alive. When you look at how innovation as well as risk management and client focus define your approach, what would you say?
Yeah, I think looking back over the last 30, 40 years where we had the actively managed discretionary mutual fund was kind of the way folks would approach their investing. And now we're seeing a lot of financial advisors, investors say, no, just give me the tools. I want to make my own allocation decisions. And so that's where you see this proliferation of ETFs in the marketplace, into the thousands of ETFs. So you're right. It is a great time to be an investor, a great time to be alive. There are a tremendous amount of tools. Now you can actually buy products and invest in products that can tell you your upside, your protection level, and how many days you have to hold that before you even invest a single dollar. So, what's the old way? The old way is to batten down the hatches and just get the volatility that the market delivered to you. You don't have to do it that way. You can dial in the risk tolerance that you're looking for. So we're seeing all of these types of products make their way into the market. We're seeing some of the mainstream predictions see this type of space growing to well over $600 billion. I think it's going to be even bigger than that. I think it's really creating a sea change in the way that people are approaching their investing.
Oh, it certainly is. And if we can, let's dive a little deeper into how your upside and the downside ETFs work. And have you seen much client adoption?
Yeah, absolutely. The way that we like to go about this is and explain it is just to pretend like I give you $100. So, Dan, if I gave you $100, we could recreate this exposure.
Thank you for that $100, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. You're going to give it back to me eventually. So we'll spend about 98 of those dollars on our exposure. So we're going to buy what's called a zero strike call. And your listeners are deep in the weeds on this stuff. So it's a zero strike call. It gives you the upside and downside of the market, like the S&P 500. Then we're going to buy protection. So that is a put option. That's going to cost about 4 of your dollars. So we've spent 98 on your participation. We've spent 4 on the protection. So we overspent. Spent 102. So now we have to sell off some upside. We're going to sell an out of the money call to collect $2 of premium, or enough to be able to make that package equal $100. And then the strike price on that sold call determines your upside cap rate. So that's how we structure all of these products. That's a 3-legged options trade. And those options prices sit inside the ETF. So it flows up to a single price. And now you can go to our website. You can buy in at the beginning, get that full outcome period performance, or you can go to our website, see what the price of that is trading at. And you can know exactly what your opportunity is. What's your upside? What's your downside? How many days are left? You can make a decision. Is this a good idea to buy into this or invest in this today or not?
You explained that beautifully. Do I have to give the 100 back? Can I keep it for a minute and then I'll give it back to you?
Yeah, there you go. Let's do that.
Listen, we talked about, obviously, it's a very interesting time right now. When you look at how you foresee this current tariff volatility working out, what are you advising your clients to do?
Yeah, I think personally, this era of easy monetary policy really seems to be behind us. For more than a decade, investors really grew accustomed to this near zero rate interest rate environment. That's not the case anymore. Some of those years would seem like we had an endless money supply too. But, I want to go out on a limb. I'll say that chapter is closed and we're in a bit of a new economic reality here. But we're stuck against this environment where we have the desire and the need to bring inflation down. We never really hit that 2% target, but it's butting up against policies that are, on the short term, theoretically inflationary. So I think that's the environment that, traders and investors are finding themselves in. It's a bit of a conflict, and I think that's where you're seeing volatility. You've got the warm air loft and the cold air coming together, and it's creating some storms. And so I think that's the environment that we're in. Thankfully, if we bring it full circle, a lot of the investment products that are in the market today, can actually control volatility, and that can benefit you. And so, we're seeing people move into these types of defined outcome ETFs in order to gain growth, but with protection. You don't have to sit on the sidelines anymore.
Beautifully said. And as you said, it really is a great time to get involved. Matt, it was an absolute pleasure talking with you today. Thank you so much for your time. Great to see you.
Thanks, Dan. You too.
That was the Senior Vice President and Head of ETFs at Calamos Investments, Matt Kaufman. Now let's send it back to the former #1 pick of the Chicago Bears in the 1979 NFL Draft, the great Ryan Faluna.
All right. Unfortunately, I blew my knee out very much like Gale Sayers. So I could never really have a great NFL career, but I appreciate that.
I believed in you, though. I believed in you, and I still think you can make a comeback.
Yeah, look, you had said very well said by Matt right there. Let me tell you, that storm analogy, the hot air, cold air, that's
Perfect.
one from Hunt for Red October, too, that I've loved my entire life. Just a fair warning here for Matt. Thank you very much. I'm going to repeat that. That's an awesome analogy for volatility. Really good stuff. All right, Dan, really good stuff. Have a great rest of your week. We'll catch up with you next time, all right?
Hey, the honor and pleasure always mine, Ryan.
All right, that is Dan Leach, folks. All right, next up, it's the folks from Story Trading. Let's check in with them. Let's bring on Ben. Ben, how you doing here today?
Good morning, Ryan. Doing great. Thank God. Beautiful.
Are you surviving the whiplash, the back and forth, the tariff tantrum, all of the headlines? What's going on?
My trading account just hit a new high for the year, up about 120% year to date. But man, I got the whiplash completely wrong this week. I was expecting a down week. I did not expect Trump to do his second round of capitulation softening so quickly. So I actually got, chopped out of trying to play the market yesterday, kind of underperformed yesterday. But today up huge because my largest position is up 30% after the earnings report. Yeah, 29% move right now. So yeah, it took me to a new high for the year. So pretty happy.
Really good stuff. Great to hear, Ben. Let's go ahead and bring on Godfather as well. I'm going to throw your screen on. I know we're expecting Rhett. Let me know, or you can bring him on here when he shows up. All right. Ready to go?
Yeah, look at that. What a well-timed call.
Let me get out of your hair.
Yeah, look at this. Someone just called. A couple people just went into SQQQ. They're good at that. Yeah, I'm kind of quitting. Hey, Rhett. Yeah. This like daily chop on the headlines is really hard for me. I did very well making directional bets, coming down from like 530 all the way to 400. But the intraday daily chop, it's not my thing. A lot of people kill it, make a lot of money on this kind of stuff. And look, here's another opportunity for people who are agile on this. But yeah, you know what? I'm happy not trying to do that because look at this. Look at this MIND. The Godfather knows. This is a name that we were both really bullish on after last earnings report back in December 10th. And we rode that from like 5, 6, hit all the way to 11. I don't think I held it the whole way, but we made great money on that. And then Godfather reminded me that the earnings report is this week. So I made it my largest position going in the earnings report after I reviewed last quarter's transcript. And it worked out again, up 30%. Making up for all the executional mistakes and all the chop. What do you say?
Still cheap for, I think we're headed straight back to 10 again. I think management appreciates the fact that on a strategic basis, they're worth $10. I suspect that Schlumberger, Halliburton, one of their large customers would love to snap them up because they have industry leading technology. And these guys make money, obviously, providing those services to folks that are, planning where to put offshore wind towers, strategic under sea mapping, mining, which is going to be a bigger part for them as Trump sort of loosens regulations on offshore mineral mining. So, I think the timing is right from a strategic point of view. It's good to note that management really doesn't control this company. Control is in the market. So I suspect that they actually have some overtures from some of their large customers, and I think that the shelf, and when they're talk about, hey, we got to get bigger, we're either going to have to buy somebody or we're going to get bought. I think it's a way for them to bolster their negotiating position for an ultimate sale. That's what I think is going on. And again, it's just me mosaicing, my feeling. I think that they are sandbagging 2026 in so much as they say fiscal 26, and in so much as they say it will be a marginally better year than 25. Well, marginally, I mean, who's kidding who? Even at 0% growth rate, they're going to do 60 million in revenue and 12 million in EBITDA.
By the way, just a little headline so people get the context here. They beat their revenue estimate by 19%. EPS came in at 25 cents, which annualizes a dollar. So it's trading at like 7 times their annualized EPS there.
Yeah, and look, this will get sold on a multiple of EBITDA, and it should sell somewhere in the, I would say, 7 range, which gets you $10. Right now, it's trading at 4.2. So, look, it's going to get there one way or other. Either the market's going to push it there, or they're going to sell the company and get it there, in my opinion.
Yeah, just making a quick trade on this little shitco, AREB. I'm going to sell this pop right here, and maybe we'll get back in. So, all right, that's awesome. So, as far as how we did in our Discord, we held this going in last night. We read that transcript. We're buying this last night. I was adding to my shares last night. Even added more this morning. Gave our community 2 targets based on the technicals and the fundamentals. So, with the fundamentals being worth probably $10 to $15. Have that in context and took a look at the chart. So I gave 2 targets, $7 at the 50 DMA, and then the candle resistance up here, triple resistance, 780. About 780 is the second resistance. I think there's a chance we get near 780 today, but so far so good on that first target at $7, hit 745 and back now down towards $7. This is still my largest position. Even after this pop, I did sell some at 695 resistance in the morning, but it's still my largest position. I'm looking for an imminent move to 770s, maybe even today. And then, as you say, longer term, maybe just being a few days, the Godfather, or maybe a week or two that we can get back towards $10, I think. Is that kind of what you're thinking in terms of the timeline to get back towards 10?
I mean, who knows about the timeline? It's a function of the backdrop to the market, but certainly, today suggests that things are stabilizing a little bit. We're going to get a little bit closer to reality on some kind of a trade resolution. I think people have the view now that that the bars that were set in terms of goalposts that looked unrealistic. There's a recognition of the administration that, yeah, of course they're unrealistic. They were a starting point. So that comfort in the market is going to funnel through into these smaller cap names, which, there's just simply been a buyer strike. There's no reason the stock should have gone from, above 10 down to below 5 again. Nothing changed fundamentally to the business. It was just a multiple thing. People just didn't want to pay for it. And I think we're potentially heading back into an environment where, consistent profitability, clean balance sheets, margin expansion, revenue growth, backlog build, all the things that, deserve a multiple, start getting rewarded again. And, this is a company that deserves a multiple. And like you said, at $7 in earnings is not exactly demanding. Yeah.
So I go out on a limb. I like to do timing. So like I said, today, the timing for me was 7 to 780. The RSI is still not overbought. And as you said, if the market's at least stable, if we're not like crashing through major supports in the QQQ or whatever, I think we can then in the next few days to a couple of weeks break that 780 and start making a move towards 10. But speaking of the market, I didn't do a technical analysis for you guys here in QQQ. Above the 20 DMA, that's an important level, but we have broken above it, the 20 DMA before, and it was a fake out, got rejected at the 200 DMA. But as long as we're above the 20 DMA here, resistance / maybe a magnet at 467.83, that was the high on that day when Trump first capitulated and gave that 90-day pause. We had a high 467.83. I think that's definitely in play now. And then maybe as high as that 50 DMA around 480. So I think that's the top of the range there in terms of a bear market bounce What happens then, I'm not going to predict. We'll have to see how the earnings are playing out, how the technicals are playing out, how the catalysts are playing out, what the RSI looks like if and when we get to that range of, again, 457 to 467 to 480. So that's the big picture on the NASDAQ, and it's going to be a similar picture on SPY. I just want to point out, wow, I made a prediction. This was a crazy prediction because you think gold would move with silver. But just yesterday, I'd put people in our community in silver call options, or maybe it was 2 days ago. And look at gold down, 2.5% yesterday, another 2.5% today. And I made a prediction that money would rotate from gold into silver and Bitcoin. And a Bitcoin prediction worked out perfectly yesterday. Gave a $92,000 target on Bitcoin. It worked out same day. And then silver working out like crazy today, breaking this $30 resistance. So I didn't make a ton of money on it because my position was small, but I know at least one person in our community made huge money on that, selling some call options for over 100% gain today. But this is just fascinating. I'm looking at this. I did sell this pop here about 30, 40 minutes ago, but I may be looking to get back in on silver. Out of curiosity, let's take a look at how the dollar is doing. Dollar is strong today. That's why gold is down, up 0.6% today after it was up yesterday. Let's check out the bonds. Bonds are strong, also very important. So these two indicators, something we got to look at to ensure that the markets, maybe can sustain this bounce. And if we see downturns again in bond or the US dollar, you can see gold exploding again. But you know what? Pretty crazy that rotation. I was basically, look, like this is an overblown, exuberant top on gold, but the play isn't over. The play of alternative currencies is not over. It's just going to look for a new home, secondary names, lower quality names, because people still want it to be in that, but they're too late with gold. And that money's going to rotate into silver and Bitcoin. That was the thesis, and it just played out beautifully this week. Pretty crazy. All right, look at this AREB, a little bit of a shitco here. We're just playing that in our community. I got no thesis for you. All right, just small size and some collaboration in our Discord. Got some great alerts earlier this morning on that. Burn hitting my 2250 target, but I did exit my trade position on Thursday and Monday, even though I thought 2250 was coming, but I exited it. I still have my full position in my retirement account, in my long-term retirement account. Man, look at this AREB pumping. All right. What else you got on your radar? Rhett,
Sorry, just getting through ARAB trades in myself.
Oh, you're doing that too? Cool.
Yeah, I've been trading it all week, actually, quietly, just because it's a shit go.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I added some Tempest AI on this news today. It looks like big news. Again, it's a beta stock, not unlike CRDO and some of these other names.
Oh wow, look at that!
Really move when the market is positive. But so in addition to obviously the market moving and this thing being beta to the market, and we're getting a nice response there. They signed this strategic agreement with AstraZeneca and Pathos for development of multimodal foundational model in oncology. These guys are the largest sort of AI players in healthcare, and of course, healthcare, financials. These are several of the industries that lend themselves, quite well to the use of AI. So. Yeah, it's been a big mover in the past, as we know. This thing traded up to in the 70s and 80s, when that whole AI healthcare theme was booming, and it's definitely the leader. So, I think you play with the big chip, blue chip names in these theme sectors. If we start to get some, money flowing.
17% move. Was this just a beta move off the market, or did they have news this morning? Oh, they
That's
did
what
have
I mentioned.
news.
They had this move this morning, this model with AstraZeneca and Pathos.
Oh, wow.
So,
Sorry.
it's licensing, but the great business, right? I mean, you're selling information. The margin is 100% effectively, sunk cost in developing these databases. So, they were one of the largest providers of this information, if you will. So fabulous business model at 25% short interest, right? So it helps to have that tailwind as well.
Beautiful. I do want to mention.
I was gonna say what's on my radar, Ben, is gonna
Yeah.
be ASTS with the phones
Yeah.
and all that too, with the launches coming up 10% today.
Yeah, this is one of my larger positions in my long-term account, but I did miss the trade opportunity in here. Actually, I was in, and I actually called out some call options yesterday, but I got chopped out. I got totally chopped up and spit out yesterday with the Besant, positive remarks that first leaked out in the morning, and then like 2 hours later, he's like, "Oh, but it's going to take 2 to 3 years to get a China deal." I totally misplayed everything. And I did not end up holding my ASTS call options into today. I know some other people did in our community, and they worked out really well for them. Always happy to see this stock up. It is one of my larger positions in my retirement account, and I'm looking for much, much higher levels over the next year or so. Nice catalyst this morning with testing on the video call, working on the Ratukin, or is that in Japan, something like that?
Yes, it's in Japan.
Yeah, right. Those are always a good positive catalyst. That's how we ran this stock up from 18 all the way to 35. We caught that perfectly, right on time, the bottom and the top after the Vodafone video call. Now you get that catalyst here, plus some rumors or speculation out there that Amazon would want to make either a strategic investment in ACS or buy them out. So you're seeing the relative strength there. Also, some great news in Summit, another stock I own in my long-term retirement account. Some great cancer data coming out on that. I got to get to Webull because this is my second largest position right now in my trade account. Webull warrants. All right. I'm gonna let you take this because this was your brainchild playing these warrants, The Godfather. But I did, take the reins from you as well, and I did my own research on this, and it really checks out from what I'm seeing. So I've been increasing my position on these warrants. It's been many days like this where the warrants are up and the underlying is down, and this could just be the very beginning of a much larger move.
Yeah, look, the premise here is pretty simple. There's a 30-day moratorium on your ability to exercise these warrants. So you've got Bull Z and Bull W warrants. The Bull Z warrants are incentive warrants with a $10 strike. The Bull W warrants are the legacy SPAC warrants with $11.50 strike. So the intrinsic value is whatever the share price is, minus those strikes. And you can see that these warrants are trading at massive discounts to those strikes. The reason they're doing that is because you can't arbitrage trade. Effectively, you can leg into one side, which is effectively what we're doing. And as borrow increases on the shares and you can start selling the shares, you can start locking in some of that. If options start trading, which we anticipate they probably will in about a week or so, people will additionally be able to do that through selling puts. So several things work in the favor of this trade. Obviously, as we get closer to May 12th, that spread should narrow as you get more ability to actually officially hedge this trade or arbitrage it properly. The spread should narrow as well. So then you've got the fundamental value of Bull. We're not making a bet on Bull in terms of valuation here by doing this trade. It simply has to trade, at a price above what you pay for the warrants and in terms of the intrinsic value. The reason we're only talking intrinsic value here instead of talking about,
which is currently about $13. As long as the stock stays at 13 or above by May 12th, you're break even on this. So,
yeah, and these are 5-year warrants, but there is a clause here, like there is in a lot of these SPACs, where if it trades at a VWAP of greater than 18 for 20 of 30 consecutive trading days, then the company within 30 days notice can redeem them for a penny. So, just keep the math simple. Just focus on intrinsic. These things aren't going to be out there for 5 years. There's just no way. So that's the trade in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I'm looking also at the technicals here with, I think, pretty strong support at $17, which is right above that gap there on April 11th. 1669 was the high. So I think there's a pretty good chance that we can maintain at least $17 into May 12th. And if we do maintain $17, these 11.50 warrants will be trading at $5.50, and they're $2.20 right now. So that is crazy. And look at this AREB, man. I sold too soon, but that's, with a shitco, I'd like to keep it small and take my quick profits on it.
By the way, if you want to get some more confidence on that trade, by having a fundamental value peg, if you will, for bull relative to, Schwab and Hood and Interactive Brokers, come into the Discord, because we've done that work, and we've got that anchor for you. But I'll leave that for the folks that are behind the paywall.
All right, so you can take a look at that. There's the code down there. Oh wow, still a third. This is the only place where you can get a 30% off right now. I don't know if it's still working, but we've basically stopped discounting everything because, first of all, we have a great track record doing great this year. But I've also added a new product, a new service to our Discord, which takes a tremendous amount of time to do. It's a official morning note. It's a PDF I put out around 7 a.m. each morning with extensive conversation on the macro and predictions of for the day and stock picks for the day. It's a great piece of it's a great product for folks who maybe cannot stay as engaged during the day. They just want one thing to look at each morning, and they can read it really quickly, 5 minutes, and it gives them a direction for the day and for the week. So that's a new product. It's worth a heck of a lot more than what we're charging. So we've actually stopped giving out discount codes on social media because of that, and again, because of a great track record. So there's a last place that you're going to get discounts. I don't know how long we're going to even offer it here at Benzinga, but check that out and that discount code that was just up there.
Ben, you know what caught me by surprise today was Tesla with this V-shaped recovery. Have you seen that yet?
Tesla. Oh wow, I didn't even see the intraday drop. Yeah, look, like as I was saying last night, I own this long term. It's one of my biggest positions in my retirement account, but I did reduce by like 20% coming into this. And I even had a couple puts in my trading account coming into this, which obviously didn't work. But, if you listen to that conference call, you'll understand why there's a huge sentiment premium in this stock. And this is a unique stock in that there's such a big, base of investors in the stock who are in it for like a 10-year outlook. And, like most stocks, I think, trade quarter to quarter. I got to tell you, I really believe, they talk about how, retail is like short-term oriented and hedge funds, they do their models and they're long-term oriented. In many ways, I think it's opposite. I think retail investors are more apt towards thinking big term, long-term vision, and I believe in this company over the next 10 years, and I just want to hold it with diamond hands no matter what. That's like a retail philosophy. Meanwhile, you have hedge funds and institutions coming in saying, what are earnings going to be this quarter? What are they going to be next quarter? And that's usually how, assets are priced. So, for that type of investor coming in here and looking at the spreadsheets and looking at the financials and looking at the quarter-to-quarter performance, they're like, this stock should be $25 or something. But if you listen to that conference call last night, you'll understand the mentality of the buyers in the stock, and you'll understand why there's a huge sentiment premium here. And, you'll probably won't short this stock again, and that'll keep you safe. So, this is just, this battle between the people who are thinking short term and looking at a spreadsheet versus the people who buy into Elon Musk's vision over the next 5 to 10 years. So, nothing surprises me in terms of anytime, what is that sentiment premium? No matter how big it is, it doesn't surprise me. Because if you're looking out 10 years, you can justify almost any type of valuation. You can justify 2 trillion, 3 trillion, 4 trillion, if you're looking out 10 years, that could be justified. And that's why also this V-shaped recovery doesn't surprise me, because it's an epic battle all the time between the bears and the bulls, and that's the battle. It's the people looking at the spreadsheet selling in the morning and the people thinking about the next 10 years buying that dip. So it's notoriously hard to trade intraday. I've given up trying to trade Tesla a long, long time ago. So I'm just holding this in my retirement account. Awkward silence. Rhett, did that help you out? Yeah.
No, yeah, it did. No, I definitely agree. I mean, people that are just looking at like the energy and just the revenue numbers and all that, they would think, oh, it should be down. But I mean, exactly what you just said there.
Those conference calls are amazing. I gotta say, I guess some people listen to Elon Musk and just think he's a crazy man, and I'm gonna discount everything he says. But I think average Joe listening to Elon Musk, I mean, he is something special in terms of how he, communicates his vision, and he is the Einstein of our generation, I think. And what is that sentiment premium worth? That alone, Elon Musk alone might be worth $500 billion, to be honest with you. If
Oh yeah.
you know,
Without and have you ever ridden in a Tesla with FSD or no?
no, I have not. I've seen it from the
It will completely
outside.
change your mind, and that's why I
Yeah.
just keep holding in my long-term account, and I won't sell for
And
that
he had,
very
and he
reason.
had very, very bullish comments on the robo-taxi last night. Man, he was
Oh
totally
yeah,
slamming Waymo last night. That was like crazy. His comments on
yeah.
Waymo, the stock was like popping like crazy when he was talking about Waymo. Um, what are all these alerts that I'm getting right now? Hold on, there's something. Is QQQ tanking? Oh yeah, look at that. Wow, what a great call in our community. Those folks who went SQQQ right at the right time. We got some talented people. It's not just Rhett, the Godfather, and I. Our subscribers can talk freely with us in our VIP chat room, and there are a few people who really stand out, who have particular skills. And that's it. No unilateral offer from Trump to cut China tariffs. No unilateral offer from Trump to cut China tariffs. And that's why we just dropped there on that headline. But yeah, there are some folks in our community who are really good at certain things. Some great catalyst traders. We got Enoch, who's been proving to be extremely adept in predicting what the
The indices,
SPY and
yeah.
indices will do. SPY QQQ, unbelievable.
Like today's, he switched to SQQQ at 10:42. I just looked at the alert when he sent
He has
out.
been
Look at that.
almost to the
Since then,
penny.
straight down.
I mean, for the last 3 days, what he's done is just blown my mind with his predictions. He's been very, very good with that. So lots of talent, lots of content in our community, and lots of great collaboration from people who excel in different areas. All right, we got 11.
And he only thinks that a trade deal with China is going to take 2 to 3 years. Get a grip. This is going to get done in the next month or two.
Oh yeah, you think so? Okay,
Absolutely.
that's great. Well, that brings to mind. Sorry, go ahead, Rhett.
No, I was going to say we have a question here. I'm looking at it. They're asking about MBIS hasn't recovered as much as the other names. You want to comment on that, or
Let's get to that in just 1 second. I as a follow through of what you're saying, you think China 2 to 3 months. So I've been talking about, this is your long term. I'm going to say this over and over because I have such high confidence in it. This is your long term bull market. We are in a 15-year bull market, which has not ended yet. This is just a correction. Your 200-week moving average is your long term bull line, and the developments, as I said in my morning note this morning, the developments yesterday with the comments from Trump and everything give me even greater confidence that this long-term bull line will hold. So at 460. So like in a quote unquote worst case scenario now, whether it's because of earnings or other catalysts that we come down towards 460, I would buy the crap out of that. I think we have a Trump put in this market, and this long-term bull line will hold. Okay. Godfather, someone had a question about NBIS. I know that was a stock that you were really big on, and I still own some of it in my retirement account from your recommendations before DeepSeek happened. Now we're down pretty big. What do you think about it here?
Yeah. So look, this theme isn't going away. These guys are extremely well positioned, especially when it comes to Europe. They are sort of the go-to in terms of Europe expanding in AI. But look, the pumping of the brakes when it comes to these data center stocks, especially these neoclouds, of which they're now 2 traded in CoreWeave and NBIS, is that you're seeing headlines about pauses by the mega tech names, right? The AWSs of the world and so on. And this is sort of the marginal buyer of additional AI capacity. To the extent that they are already completely full, they will license additional capacity from these facilities. So, that's giving people pause, right? This whole, AI CapEx cycle, concerns over that. So that's weighing on it. I think also, most of their earnings are to come. Like if you look at the financials right now, there really isn't much to speak about. It's all about the latter half of this year. So there's a bit of a, wait and see, show me situation. And they are due to report earnings relatively soon. There were some headlines about them coming out on the 25th. I think they kiboshed that and said they hadn't actually put out a date, but I do expect it'll be in the next sort of week to 10 days. And it should be good. And I expect the commentary will continue to be good because the demand for their services hasn't gone anywhere. And these guys are a leader in that space in terms of what they're offering, not just the hardware, but the entire software package, the UI, the hosting, you name it. It's completely turnkey. It's exactly what people need in this environment. So it's going to take some time for that confidence to rebuild again and the multiple side of the equation come through. And I think the other thing is they need to start showing on a quarterly basis some actual traction to the numbers. So, I would not be surprised to see this thing trade back with a 4 handle as we get closer to the end of the year, as both of those things come further.
It looks like Bessett said that thing again that caused the volatility yesterday. Full China trade deal may take 2 to 3 years. I just saw that on my X. I also see Ryan or whoever is hosting it back there right now posted in the chat. So that's why we're having this volatility once again. Wow, man! I wish I listened to Enoch. Oh, SQQQ at just the perfect time. Alerted in our Discord. I should have followed that, but my holding up well. I would say
roller coaster of a day.
Yeah, it's crazy. I would say for the rest of the day, my top positions continue to be mined here at $7, holding up well, even with that little QQQ drop, has no impact on the stock, as you can see. And the other thing I'm doing is continuing to look for opportunities to increase my bull warrants position, or you can get the bull Z warrants, the $10 strike instead of the $11.50. With this, look at this, down 5%, but the warrants up 2%. Those are my top priorities today. Still, mind and accumulation of the bull warrants as we deal with this crazy volatility, Ryan.
That was me in the back, by the way, giving you those stats. So earlier in the show, before you guys came on, I actually took SPXS. That was a huge winner for me the last time. Took the 8 calls again. We are up almost 100%. So
amazing.
Make volatility great again, baby. Make volatility great again.
Yeah, nice.
Being active is the way to go. Really good stuff here, guys. Thanks very much. We'll see you next week, and we'll double check on that QR code for the sale for you. Okay,
right, sounds good.
Take care.
All right, that is story trading. Really good stuff from you folks. We'll see. I just took myself off. Did you like that? That was a magic trick, Rat. Don't worry about that. I got you. Have a good one. We'll see you next. We'll see you next time. This is why we need a producer instead of just me doing everything. I end up clicking the wrong thing. Really good stuff here today from the story trading guys and from our group here this morning. I'm going to send you over to Kevin for future.